This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free. My computer has momentarily decided to have a seizure. Sorry about that. Thank you all for being here. I was getting the article pulled up. I saw Muddy Puddles. Thank you for being here. L.A. Anders, Serena, Eek. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Oh, True Crime Addict. Hello. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate that. We can go ahead and get started with John Paul Miller, Pastor John Paul Miller being arrested. Do we all know who he was and what he did? No doubt. I need to get my computer on some Depakote. So let me know if we all know who he was and what he did, and the story behind that. Actually, let me see if I can pull up just a little refresher on who he is and what happened, I should say, because he has not been proven to have done anything. But yeah, it's just not great. Okay. Let me see. Hold on. Let me share my YouTube with you real quick, and we will do a little short refresher on Micah Miller. I've got one that's 23 minutes from Law and Crime. Oh, that's the FBI raids the house from 2 days ago. Here, we'll watch that anyway, because we should watch that anyway. I want to see the FBI raid his house, and it's probably going to give us a little refresher on that situation anyway. Yes, Anders, he was a narcissistic dirtball. Like, let me mute it while this commercial plays. Like Eek said, JP is a dirtball, like Serena said. And he was a pastor in a mega church in the South.
Death for her husband.
Now, so you're going to learn right here what this is about. This is from Law and Crime Network. It's called The FBI Raid Pastor Husband's Home in Micah Miller Death Case, Everything We Know. So we'll watch this real quick, and then I'll read you guys the article.
Been a pastor at a South Carolina church is apparently the focus now of the FBI, and they just searched his home. We're talking, of course, about John Paul Miller, but if this FBI search is not connected to the death of Micah Miller, then what could be the focus? We're going to sit down with a lawyer who was actually at the scene during the FBI search, as well as a former FBI agent, to get a peek into what might be going on behind the scenes. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. So this is a story that went viral back in April. John Paul Miller, who was a
Serena, I am so sorry. I'm glad that you got away from that. He reminds me of a lot of people too, and I have been a member at several different mega churches like this down here in the South, and it's just not good. I don't personally agree with it. A lot of them, I've been in these big mega churches like this, and they'll have like a Starbucks inside of the church. And I don't like that. I don't like when they're talking about money a lot, because, you're not actually, technically, Jesus went into the temple and flipped over tables. If we're being actual about, that. Hey, everyone. I just saw something. I got to figure something out. Hey, Zaya. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, by the way, Trixie is the one who told me about this, and I wanted to give her credit. I don't see her here yet. She's got some things going on. So if you guys would, I will leave her in the description box. Go give Trixie's Creations for You a follow. She's the one who actually brought this to my attention this morning. Okay, so with that, I'm going to get back to this. I know y'all want to know what's going on. Thank you,
Was a
Overprotected.
pastor
Hey,
at Solid Rock Church in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, announced at the end of a sermon that his wife, 30-year-old Micah, was dead. And he said that she had taken her own life at a state park in North Carolina. The backlash to this was swift. Friends, family of Micah Miller, they immediately suspected John Paul might have had something to do with her death. And even though apparently...
Hi, Cozy. Hi, Overprotected. Hi, Content Angel. Thank you all for being here.
It was announced at the time.
Here's Trixie. Trixie is in the box, in the comments section. She's the one who brought this to my attention. So if you could go give her a follow on her channel, if y'all don't mind. And please remember to hit that thumbs up on your way in. Thank you so much.
Time that he was hundreds of miles away in Charleston when Micah died. And to be clear, he has never been criminally charged in connection with her death. But nonetheless, supporters of Micah, those closest to her, they have launched a campaign to bring attention to the problems that John Paul and Micah were having in their marriage. They wanted an investigation into whether John Paul might have even intentionally pushed Micah to take her own life. Now, John Paul...
Haunted by a concept you've been dying to make? Whether
Okay.
it's a pitch for...
Sorry about that. Zayo gave me information on what we're going to watch next too, and she had some really cool videos. I need to get with you about my
to be
stuff.
clear, stepped down from his role or his positions at the church in May. The medical examiner did officially rule that Micah died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. She was seen on surveillance video buying a gun at a pawn shop before she drove to Lumber River State Park. This is just over the state line in North Carolina. Micah even called 911 to let them know what she was about.
That was weird. I just heard somebody clear their throat, but nobody is on stage with me, and it's from the video. But with that, I'm going to drop the StreamYard link if anybody wants to go up. Eek says smash the like button or face consequences.
To do so her family could find her body. The dispatcher had tried to talk her out of it, but it was too late. John Paul and his father, though, they've always maintained that Micah suffered from serious mental health problems, and they claim that she had stopped taking her medication. But there were several factors that we're going to get into that made her family and friends, and those who've been following the story, suspicious, like the fact that Micah had filed for divorce before her death, John Paul's criminal record, what court paperwork from his first marriage revealed about the relationship. At the time of Micah's death, the Robeson County Sheriff's Office said the FBI was conducting a, quote, parallel investigation, but said that that investigation didn't involve Micah or her death. I should be more specific about that. And now what we want to talk about is brand new information that FBI agents were at John Paul's Myrtle Beach home at the end of last week. But the exact reasons for why they were searching his home are still a little bit vague. So to talk about this, I want to bring on attorney Regina Ward, who actually had been representing Micah in her divorce case against John Paul. And it's our understanding she was there at the time FBI conducted this search. And I'm also joined by former CIA and FBI agent Tracy Walder, News Nation contributor. Great to have you both here.
Now, I have an article that I can read to you guys, but the white Micah, before she passed away, had actually turned him in for basically embezzling money from the church. There's rumors that he would ask her, let me get my trigger warning real quick. In this article, and I can read it to you guys, it's kind of a long article, but you guys can let me know if you want me to go over it. But it states that Micah caught him basically embezzling money from the church. He would make her do things with like random strangers on the street because that's what he liked, and she had issues with it. The way he announced it in the church, which if they don't show it on here, I will go over that next, was just disgraceful. So let me know. Hi, Shaboogies. Thank you for being here. Let me know if y'all want me to go over that article that kind of lays all that stuff out. Yes, Shaboogies.
Thank you so much. Regina, I'll start with you. So you were there. Why were you there?
He
And
is
what
a
can you tell us
psycho,
about what you observed?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I wasn't there in the beginning, obviously. I didn't get there till later in the afternoon. when I arrived, there was still, plenty of Micah supporters there, lots and lots of FBI agents everywhere, all of the classic FBI cars and such. I actually stood over with the neighbor right next to John Paul Miller's home. And so I was able to observe for myself some of the items that were being, brought out from the home. And so I got to see some of that. Of course, I don't have the knowledge of what's inside some of those paper bags and boxes, of course, but obviously I did see some things that they took out.
Well, what were some of the things that you saw them take out?
Well, one of the things that I was most pleased with that I saw taken out of that house was a large all-in-one computer. And so my thought process, of course, is that there's probably stuff on there or evidence on there that's going to help the FBI take the next step in this case.
By the way, as you may know, we have been actively following the Micah Miller story for a while here on Sidebar. We've been trying to stay up to date on any new developments. And one of the reasons that we're able to continue to do that kind of work is not only because of you guys, and we can't thank you enough for your support, but also because of our sponsors and the work they do with us. And I have to call out one in particular right now, Upside. Upside's awesome. Upside is a free app, so easy to use, that helps you get cash back when you buy food, gas, and groceries. Real money, real cash back, money that appears in your Upside app that you can transfer straight into your bank account. Here, you can see.
All right.
Do you have any idea what this is about? Did you speak to any of the FBI agents at the scene?
I actually do have and know the agents' names that are assigned to Micah's case. In fact, I guess that
he sure did, Serena. Yep. Yeah, like I said, I've got an article that goes over some of the things he did to her that could have pushed her over the edge. But it's kind of a long one. But I am going to read the one that talks about this raid that they're talking about right now.
Okay, maybe a couple of months ago or so, I was actually served with a U.S. grand jury subpoena for all of my file materials and things that belong to Micah. So I knew firsthand at that point that it was actually serious. It wasn't just Robeson County saying, oh, FBI came and did a parallel search. No, they were actually activating an investigation and was collecting the evidence, starting with me and witnesses and other potential victims and so forth. And of course, taking those next steps to execute a search warrant.
To be clear, though, is this about Micah's death or her relationship with John Paul? That might have maybe.
Micah is the one that we see pictures of, Anders, with like dark brown, blackish colored hair.
From what I'm hearing, what you're saying, might have to not just be about Micah, but other people as well. I think you used the word victim or alleged victims. Are you saying this is larger than Micah? Is it about her death or is it something else?
Right. Anything that I would know personally, if anything at all, there would be certain things that I wouldn't be able to disclose anyway, but I'll put it this way. This case and that search warrant was definitely about Micah, whether it was directly related to her, her
Anders, this is Micah.
Her untimely death. The thing that I'm saying is that with regard to that search warrant, it had Micah's name all over it but for Micah leaving behind journals and evidence and information that would lead a trail for the FBI to follow, they would have never knocked on his door ever to begin with. So is it directly related to Micah and her passing? Well, gosh, I certainly hope so to some degree, but I also say this, that don't forget, there have been plenty of people in the past where we never got to arrest them for what we alleged that they had done. But, I always like to say, Al Capone didn't go to prison for murdering anyone. He went to prison for tax evasion. Jail is jail. Would I like for it to be something directly related to, him tying him with Micah? Yeah, but if it's something else, I'm fine with that too. Jail is jail.
Got an itchy throat from allergies? Get all-day allergy relief with new.
Anders, I will like briefly go over that article I'm referencing, so that you can hear a little bit more about the story.
The public, obviously clearly understand is about the type of evidence that the FBI has now gotten access to. We think about things, especially with our wonderful Constitution that protects us all, right? Is from unreasonable searches and have an expectation of privacy in our homes. The federal magistrate is not going to just willy-nilly hand out a search warrant without the good probable cause. But the point that I wanted to make is that now the FBI will have access to evidence that they have retrieved from him that he expected to have some sort of expectation of privacy in. And those things would be email threads, email chains, text messages, website history on that computer.
Didn't realize I was not
all of the things that we usually, consider to be private to us, and those private documents, computer files, and that type of thing. So,
sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't muted. My daughter was asking for soup, and I was telling her to check the cans. Sorry if that sounded weird.
In the future, any of that type of evidence, if Mr. Miller wants to say, oh, yes, I wrote that letter admitting all of those things, but my wife told me to write it, therefore explaining it away. In this situation, whatever the FBI has retrieved there cannot be denied. It came from his home and from his source and under an expectation of privacy. So I think that that's going to be some very strong evidence that would be coming forward somewhere down the road.
All right, Tracy, let me turn this over to you. So our understanding is John Paul reportedly wasn't home during this search. Your thoughts on, was that intentional? And you're hearing what Regina's saying about what was collected from the house. What's your impression?
Well, so first to mention what Regina said, you have to have probable cause to get a search warrant. So they were obviously collecting on him on this case for quite some time. And part of me does wonder if this is more than just about the death of Micah, quite frankly, simply because of the fact that the FBI is involved and is executing a search warrant. My mind actually goes to some financial issues as well, as that is something that obviously that we investigate quite a bit. Now, in terms of serving a search warrant, it's actually usually preferable for the person not to be home, for us to serve that search warrant. My guess is, again, I don't have insider information. I can only just go off of what I have done in the past.
Yeah, the Progresso soups is good. I think we've got some of those Campbell's Chunky. I'm going to work on getting that article pulled up for Anders so I can explain some of the background of this.
We typically surveil the person actually for a period of a couple of weeks. These things don't happen automatically per se. We surveil them. We get to know sort of their routine, if you will. And my guess is it was a routine departure from the home, whether he was picking someone up, whether he was going to work, whether he was doing something that he typically does. They waited for him to be gone to serve that search warrant.
Let me expand upon that a little bit more because according to Kevin Miller, who's a spokesman for the Columbia, South Carolina FBI office, this was a court-authorized search. He declined to comment to the media as to the reason for the search, if anything was retrieved from the house. Will the FBI, Tracy, federal authorities reveal anything quite yet, or will they keep everything close to the vest unless or until there are charges?
I personally think that they're going to keep that information close to the vest until there are charges. They don't have to reveal that information. And to be completely blunt, Jesse, I'm sorry to be so blunt, it doesn't necessarily serve them right now to reveal that information. And quite frankly, in order to get the charges against him, they don't even have to reveal everything they have, just enough, right, to get those charges. So I am not certain that we will know anything right away until or if there is an arrest.
Regina, going back to you about that scene, you mentioned that there were people outside, protesters. They were posted up outside, I think, the Solid Rock Church. They made their way to the home. They were holding signs that said "Justice for Micah." What was that like? What was that scene like?
Yes, it was a fairly familiar scene that we've seen many times in many different places. I'll tell you, the people who are in support following this case and so forth are dedicated to seeing it through. and are hopeful and at any place that they can to offer their support and to encourage. It was quite interesting too, because one thing that I liked seeing too was that when the FBI finished, was getting ready to leave the scene, everyone was clapping for them and, and chanting and, saying you can't hide from the FBI, which is true. And I'm so glad that, that it was mentioned that, people have made comments. John Paul just barely missed the FBI. I can assure you this was a very calculated, planned maneuver by the FBI, and they knew exactly where John Paul Miller was at the time that they did that. But I also wanted to say, too, with regard to potentially other victims of John Paul Miller himself, or, those who are associated with him, or that type of thing, that the police, the way we end domestic violence is by a victim breaking their silence. And so I would encourage anyone out there that feels that they have been victimized by him or any associations with the church, etc., to please reach out. If you don't want to, call a line that you don't know who's going to answer the other end, you're welcome to call my office. I'll put you in touch with the people who are actually involved with the case, because the more folks who have been victims of this, of a crime potentially, or some sort of abuse with him, the more of those that come forward, the stronger the case. And so it's just critically important that we all continue to stand together, fight for Micah, because when we fight for Micah, we're fighting for everyone else who's lived in the same situation.
So, Regina, what would be your reaction to when Russell Long, who is an attorney that's representing John Paul Miller, said, look, he doesn't have more information than anyone else because he...
Okay, sorry about that. I was getting some videos ready for us to watch about this situation.
attached to the search warrant. So he didn't really know what this was about. But what he did say is that this was a fishing expedition. What's your response to that?
Well, sure it is. I mean, that's part of it. There's a step, not necessarily a fishing expedition, like, for instance, the FBI didn't have anything to go on. We have to go back to, you cannot get a warrant unless there's probable cause, meaning more likely than not a crime has been committed. So, a federal magistrate is not going to sign off on a warrant unless there's, an indication that there's more to be gotten there. So that, obviously the next steps is, after getting all of the evidence they took from there, is it's going to take some time. And I want the public to understand, please be patient. I know some of the folks were saying, my gosh, it's taken too long. It's taken too long. No, this is a very slow, methodical process. If he does get indicted, we want those charges to stick. We want it to go all the way through. So it doesn't need to be a rushed and hurried investigation. And they will take their time and sift slowly through each item, cataloging.
Right, because you want to make sure that you get evidence of every single thing that you're looking for. You want to get evidence about every single thing that you can, to make sure that you can charge him with anything and everything, to make sure he ends up having to stay in that jail.
Evaluating, following clues to the next clue. So it's going to be some time, but I can tell you this, I do know for sure there's more to come.
Well, Tracy, let's talk about that. Let's talk about next steps here, in the sense that neighbors said that, who were observing this search, they said the FBI agents were wearing shirts that said Evidence Response Team. They were taking out bags of from the home, as we were just talking about with Regina. Talk to us about what happens. What does the Evidence Response Team do? What is the next steps once they collect this evidence? Talk us about what happens behind the scenes.
So the ERT, or Evidence Response Team, is really attached to basically all FBI offices. The larger ones, some of the smaller ones have them as well, or they take from their larger offices that are the closest by. And really, their main job is to process properly and catalog all of that evidence. So I think there's sometimes a misconception that when FBI agents are going in, that we are also gathering the evidence. And Sometimes we are, but more often than not, we are actually not. We are trained in how to, but the evidence response team or the ERT, that is what they have explicitly at Quantico been trained to do. Most of them are not FBI agents, although some of them actually can be, and they can work in those kind of dual roles. And they are what we call bagging and tagging all
Mhm.
of that evidence and then putting it into a register and then taking it back to the office so that it can be kept there securely to be processed.
And Tracy, what's the relationship between the FBI and federal prosecutors? In a case, again, we still don't know all the details. Regina maybe does, but obviously can't share. But what's that relationship like in terms of next steps?
Oh, it's very, very close. Sometimes we get a little frustrated, quite frankly, with the federal prosecutors, because the reality is when you're serving a search warrant, and I said this before, actually, when you and I talked about the Diddy case, there was no question that there was going to be a subsequent indictment, in my opinion. And I am so grateful for Regina talking about how long it takes. It takes a long time, especially when there's digital evidence to go through all of that. So we do need to be patient. It is very, very close. We are in contact with them all of the time because they don't want to issue charges or an indictment without
Right.
really a preponderance of evidence, quite frankly.
Right. They got to make sure they have enough evidence. Zio, I'm sorry it's intimidating you. A fishing expedition means basically they're looking for any and all evidence they can to charge him with whatever crime they think that he is looking for or that he is guilty of.
Frankly, the reality is if we are there serving a search warrant, charges are definitely forthcoming.
Regina, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you one other thing, and to bring a larger perspective. So friends and family, they have alleged that John Paul, who's, I believe, 14 years older than Micah, the allegation was that he groomed her from the time that she was a teenager and that he was a youth pastor. They also claim that John Paul was abusive toward Micah. In fact, Micah had posted on her social media in the weeks before her death, offering her support to people who are in this kind of circumstances.
So you don't have to stay in a abusive relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs or alcohol abuse or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault or you're a bad mom or you're a bad wife or you're a bad husband or you're not giving it your all when you know you are. God hates divorce, but why? According to everybody I've asked and the scriptures that I've found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that?
Now, that video is from March of this year. Micah died the following month. And since
I'm really glad they played that. That, like he just said, was from a month before her death, and she was trying to get away from this person. And we'll read in the article more about that.
since then, there have been
Hey,
concerning
Joy, thank you
reports
for
coming
being
out
here.
about John Paul. For example, we learned from court documents that were filed by John Paul's ex-wife, Allison, that John Paul and Micah were having difficulty at home, which was impacting the 4 children that they shared custody of. And in a verified complaint
What's the BK hearing?
in support of her request to modify custody, child support, alimony, it says, plaintiff alleges that since the entry of the party's prior final order, defendant has exhibited increasingly unstable behaviors, failed to provide a safe and stable environment for the minor children during the periods of visitation, and has exposed and involved the minor children in incidents of domestic dispute and discord, which have been traumatic to the minor children and not in their best interest. She also goes on to accuse John Paul, who she calls JP, of deviant sexual behavior, and she claims that Micah was actually their babysitter, but John Paul had started this relationship with her. What can you tell us about all that?
Well, goodness, there's a whole lot to unpack there, but basically, I would say most.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank y'all for letting me know that was going on. We'll talk about that. We'll go over what happens in that hearing today. I'll talk about it some tomorrow. Thank you, Shaboogies, for becoming a new member. I really appreciate that. That's so awesome. Thank you for becoming part of Speculation Station. I love that. I love to have you here. Thank you so much. That's so awesome. Thank you.
Most of that, not that most of that, I should say that is an accurate representation from what the information that I have. There's actually a whole lot more to it that's not been disclosed to the public, will not be disclosed to the public for various reasons. So yes, there were lots of things that were happening. And Micah herself had even was concerned and called his ex-wife to say, please come get your children. I think there's a concern.
Tracy, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you one more thing as we're thinking about why the FBI conducted this search without him being present, these allegations, what we're talking about. He has a criminal record, John Paul Miller. He pled guilty in South Carolina to assault and battery. He ended up being sentenced to 500 hours of community service. He was put on probation. There was a 4-year prison sentence that was suspended. And then it's our understanding in 2022, the South Carolina court records indicated that Miller was pardoned for that assault and battery case. His ex-wife, Allison, claims that he used his connections in the community to make that happen. So when you hear that, and now you're connecting it to what might the investigation look like, and this is obviously why people have questions about John Paul and his relationship to Micah. And if we're listening to Regina, potentially other people that could be connected. Just what are your initial thoughts about that?
So my initial thoughts are they are most likely, again, I don't have insider knowledge, but they are most likely, this is beyond Micah, in my opinion. I obviously want justice for her, but I think this is bigger than that. Otherwise, I don't believe the FBI would be serving a search warrant. I believe that this extends to other victims that he may have potentially groomed, or to his ministry itself, looking at some of those financial dealings and looking at some of maybe the exchanges that he had with other victims. I think this is larger than an assault charge, perhaps larger than murder. I think this is going into maybe racketeering. I think this is going into finances, postal fraud, those kinds of things, perhaps even pornography. I don't know. But that is typically when the FBI gets involved in serving search warrants. And if they're bringing things out, such as computers, digital evidence, those kinds of things, that's usually what we find on there.
And just to be clear, just to hammer that home, we're not accusing him of any of that. We're just saying this is things that the FBI has looked for in the past and what might be characteristics of a search like this. But listen, here's what we do know. There's still a lot more answers, still a lot more questions we have in this. Hopefully we'll get some answers. Just an interesting development. But Regina Ward, Tracy Walder, thank you both.
Okay, Anders, that explains some of it. I'll probably just drop this other one in the description box because it's a really long one, and I'll read this new one. So Anders, check the description box after the live if you want to read that article about what he had done to Micah and everything happening there. I do have the 911 call, and I've got the a couple of funny videos of him acting stupid that we will watch after we do this real quick. I'm gonna read this article for you guys, and we'll watch this video. Now, I can't see the comments when I'm on this page, so I'll be trying to go back and forth. We'll watch this video real quick. While it loads, it says Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. John Paul Miller was arrested for assault and battery in the 3rd degree, according to online records from Myrtle Beach Police Department. Police responded to the address, which is near Solid Rock Church in the Market
Looking
Common.
for a better health plan for 2025? Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina has a solution.
In the Market Common, where John Paul is a pastor. Let me make sure y'all can see this. Okay. Oh, hold on.
You might just wear socks.
No, he's wearing slippers.
Okay.
It's just nice that they're not orange.
I can't wear my glasses and my mask anymore.
It's wanting to be stupid. Hold on.
In the town of Atlantic Beach. This is the second meeting canceled this week. It inhibits an official welcome of Carla Taylor to town council.
ABC 15's Gianna Forbes is in Atlantic.
In the town of Atlantic Beach.
Okay, anyway, that was showing him going to jail. I'm going to try to replay it right here. It says, according to the arrest warrant, the victim was protesting and crossed the street to approach John Paul. The victim said, "Here, kitty, kitty," to John Paul.
Wendy's took their nugs to a whole new level.
Before he turned around, got in the victim's face, and put his phone up as if he were recording her, the warrant said.
On game day, gotta be
What a
Wendy's.
mercy. All right. We'll watch this again real quick.
They don't go in It's just kind of cool.
You might just give me socks.
No, he's wearing slippers.
Okay.
It's just nice that they're not orange.
I can't wear my glasses and my mask anymore.
In the town of Atlantic Beach. This is the
Okay.
second meeting canceled this week.
So that was all of that video. I don't know why it's so short. The warrant added that John Paul tapped the brim of the victim's baseball cap and then turned around and walked away. A witness told police she observed the defendant hit the victim's hat twice. So this is his assault and battery charge that he just got in trouble for. Video of the incident does not appear to show the assault, although directly after the possible assault, the victim can be heard yelling on the video, "Don't touch me," per the warrant. He appeared before a judge Thursday morning and was granted a cash surety bond of $776. John Paul declined to talk to ABC 15 as he and his attorney left the Myrtle Beach Police Department. It's going to load an ad. John Paul was married.
Wendy's took their nugs to a whole new level with sauce.
That's fantastic, Wendy's. I'm so happy for you. John Paul was married to 30-year-old Micah Miller, who died by unaliving herself, supposedly, allegedly, on April 27th at Lumber River State Park in Robeson County, and that was actually in North Carolina. Since her death, law enforcement has released the 911 call, security footage, and a timeline of events detailing the day that she died. And we'll listen to the 911 call, and then I'll go ahead and get into the Jesse Vang hearing after we listen to that and watch a couple videos of this man acting a fool.
John Paul, any reactions today?
Nothing. Y'all have a great day. Thank you. They don't go in It's just kind of cool.
You might just give me socks.
No, he's wearing slippers.
Okay.
It's just nice that they're not orange.
I can't wear my glasses and my mask anymore.
In the
All
town
right. So that was the information on the third-degree assault charge that, I think that's what I just read, the third-degree assault charge that he got charged with. Evidently, he put his hands on somebody's hat and was being a pig, in my opinion, allegedly speculating. Hello, Sheila says. Sheila says that Wendy's Frosty sounds real good right now, just saying. You know what? I could not agree more. I want a Frosty as well. All right, let me pull up this YouTube, and we'll share the videos of him acting a fool and her 911 call, and then we'll jump into Jesse Vang. Zio, I know I might be saying her name wrong, but she, let me get my playlist. She told me about the Jesse Vang hearing, and she actually did coverage over it. So when I pull that up, I'm going to show you guys her channel, and ask that you please give her a like and subscribe as well. Let me pull up my playlist I just made where I added the videos. I wanted to play this for Anders so you could get a little bit better idea of what's going on. And again, I'm going to drop that article in the description box so that you can see it and read over it if you want to. It kind of describes some of the things that Micah Miller was having to deal with this monster. So we'll watch him act a fool, and then we'll listen to the 911 call. This is the ant video they were just talking about. Oh, yeah, Isaiah.
Your small business has unlimited potential. Spectrum Business is built.
Contents Angel says, you guys pray for us. Some of my friends are evacuated from Ventura County Fire you saw on the news last night, and it's my hometown. I am so sorry to hear that. Y'all, please say a prayer for those in Ventura County. I believe that's in California, if I'm not mistaken. I'm so sorry to hear that. Please keep them in your prayers, you guys. This is going to be John Paul acting a straight fool.
JP. You all right, man? You okay? Huh? You okay? What's the matter?
This is from Fitz News. That's actually who wrote the article. I'm going to drop in the description box as well. I just wanted to let you know them who it was so you can give them a like and subscribe.
Huh? What's the matter? You switched my medication. Makes me go crazy. Is somebody helping you?
Lord help us all.
Oh, okay.
Me too, cuz. Me too.
Okay. But you got Mark coming? Somebody called him. Okay. So, is your medication something they gave you? Yeah.
Shaboogies said, laughing my ass off. What is this? I'm dead. Yeah, he's just this is John Paul Miller, the preacher, pastor, and leader of the people at Solid Rock Baptist Church down there in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
And you want me to make sure Mark's coming? But somebody's called him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No doubt.
Hey, JP. I think Mark is coming. Mm-hmm. I had him try to get in touch with him again to make sure. Is that okay? Huh? Ants fight me. There's ants all over me. He was like there's ants on you? There's no ants on you, though. It's just, maybe that's how you feel, but there's none on you. There's none on the grass. What kind of medicine do they have you on?
Yeah, this is something.
All right, well, somebody's going to come, okay?
Sarah's cat is watching the TV and looks concerned. I'm concerned too, to be quite frankly honest. Zayo said that this is filmed by his ex-wife's husband, her new husband. So, and it's in his ex-wife's driveway, as a matter of fact. So, there we go. I don't know, Shaboogies.
Do I need to call 911? Do I need to call the medics?
He just needs to get to Jesus. Sweet Jesus.
Yeah, we got somebody coming. You want some water or anything?
Right,
want some water?
Cozy?
Yeah, he said okay if you got a little bottle of water.
I don't know either. Yes, he was saying ants. I wish Abellis was here to see this too. Right, Kaya?
I don't know. I think they changed his medication or something, he said. And he said, like, ants is crawling on him and stuff. So I got some more coming. Okay. Yeah. I'll go across the street. Back over here. Oh, okay. So. Well, let me know if I can do anything. Okay, I think he's. Okay. Here's some water, JP.
Hopefully, Xander's can. I mean, Xander's. Abellis can catch the replay. Yeah, I don't know where Abellis is today. I'm wondering myself. They might be asleep.
Water. Okay, you want to try to sit up? You want to try to sit up, or you want to put it to your mouth, or what?
I'll be out in a few minutes if you need it.
Okay.
So
Is that enough? You want more?
that's good. That's good. Zio broke it down for us and said that there's ants crawling on him and in his eyes, and he wants to see his kids. He wants to see Jesus. He doesn't want anyone to call his mom because he doesn't want her to see him like this. So that's what we're gathering from this, and it's from supposedly some kind of medication. I think somebody, what did they used to call that? I think somebody laced the blunt or something. Look at that love boat.
My kids don't make any noises in the morning when I wake up.
Now, I know he just said my kids don't make any noises in the morning when I wake them up, and he's continuing to cry. Ooh. Lord have mercy.
If Mark can't make it quick, you want me to get your mom over here?
I don't want my mom anywhere in the church. It's crazy. I always told everybody to get on medication, and this is what it does. Crazy. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't do nothing. I feel like I answer my eyes. I can open up my eyes.
I don't want none of whatever he had either. I know it's not Haldol. If it was Haldol, he wouldn't be talking. What did he pass out? Did he fake pass out? Oh, good Lord. Oh, good Lord. Some people. Okay, now I know that was funny, and we all had a good laugh. This is going to get serious. This is the 911 call. So again, this is a big trigger warning. This is going to be hard to listen to. I'm going to play this so that we can understand kind of what was said here and why they do end up thinking that she's the one that possibly did it. But I want us to remember Micah and her family in this, and I'm hoping that she does get justice soon. I know that was funny, and we all had a good laugh, but now this one is going to get real hard to listen to. So big trigger warning again. Yes, I clicked that. Thank you so much. Okay. This is from Court TV.
The wife of a preacher was found dead from a gunshot wound. Tonight, we listen to the dramatic 911 call she made. That's Micah Miller on stage in church and full of life. Micah Miller, 30 years old. And this story, there's a lot of mystery surrounding it and some things that don't make a lot of sense. But she was 30 years old, the wife of a pastor, and she died on April 27th of this year from a gunshot wound. I want to read from her obituary. Micah was energetic, affirming, adventurous, faithful, loving, giving, forgiving, talented, joyous, creative, assertive, bold, determined, or authoritative, passionate, hardworking, a risk taker, and so much more. She helped Pastor JP with the church in every way. Micah was the worship leader, graphics designer, youth leader, women's ministry leader, and pastor's assistant. And she did all of this with the utmost integrity and faithfulness. Micah made the greatest of efforts to always be the best wife she could be. And she was the wife of the pastor, John Paul Miller. They had been friends since 2009. They got married in 2017, but they were in the process of separating when she died. She had served him with divorce papers just days earlier. And as a result of all of this, John Paul, the pastor, has been receiving a lot of backlashes and accusations regarding her death. But take a look. This is from the Robeson County Sheriff's Office, May 7th press release. Unfortunately, rumors and conspiracy theories were spreading quickly and assumptions were being made. However, in the end, we must make decisions based on the facts and evidence that has been gathered. In the end.
Joy says her friends feel like something happened between the time she left for work till she showed up at the pawn shop. I think so too. All of it's questionable. when I heard this case, I wished that I could have talked to her. You just kind of wish that like you could go back and change things before they happen. I find myself doing that a lot. Of course we can't. Everything happens for a reason, but it's still really sad. Shaboogies, you do not sound like a dying animal. I'm sure you do not. So don't ever say that.
Sadly, a tragic decision was made by Micah that ended her life. So we've got some images, some of the last images of Micah Miller from the day of her death. 11:38, she's caught on a Ring camera leaving her home. 12:13, she's in a pawn shop purchasing a firearm and ammunition. 1:27, she's spotted filling up at a gas station. 2:54, she calls 911 and informs them she's about to take her own life. I'm going to play that call for you right now. It's not easy to listen.
Thank you, Zio. Now, I will say thank you for sharing that, and I will also leave that in the description box down below after the live, and the domestic violence hotline as well. There's some people that say because of the bruising on her hand, it looks like somebody else might have been holding her hand on the pew, but somebody also said that it could have been like her hands grasped in a praying motion if she was praying really hard before she did it and bruised her hands that way. I do have a question that I found weird just now. Most of the time you don't fill your car up with gas if you're planning to do something like this. You know what I mean? That's not something, it wouldn't matter at that point. Oh,
Listen to, but it's
Sabrosa, thank you for being here. I read the article, and when we watched a short on it, he was arrested for third-degree assault because he recorded one of the protesters out there down where he lives at, and he like poked him in the hat, poked the baseball cap or something, and took the phone and was recording them. Hey, Jenny Jen. From what I understand, Sabrosa, feel free to you can go back a little bit and watch where I read that if you'd like to.
It's an important part of what happened here, and her family is very, very skeptical about her taking her own life. Let's listen to that call.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
A national park.
Where's the park located at?
In Fair Bluff.
Let's see.
I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find my phone is on. I just did my.
I want to keep the comment that's highlighted right now up there the whole time we hear this call, just in case anybody out there is struggling. But Sheila says, I felt all along someone else was there, in my opinion. I think so, too. I really do. It's just too suspicious with all the things going on. The things I read in that article that I'm going to leave in the description box, it's just a lot. And the thing about it is mega churches like that, you know, when you have a big mega church that's popular in the community, all the police go there, the politicians, all of the big high ups in that area, and Myrtle Beach is old money. I'm probably about 3 or 4 hours from Myrtle Beach, but it's a rich community. There's poor parts of it, of course, but it's a lot of old money. And, you know, the Murdochs came out of South Carolina, and that's another old money type of case where people can do whatever they want to do as long as you have the money for it. I think there is some backdoor dealings going on in this case for sure.
My Sheila, my location.
Okay, I'm showing.
I'm sorry, E, to hear that. But yeah, her voice is very calm. He did groom all of the women, E. Oh, Jenny, you're fine. That was my mistake that I scheduled it for tomorrow.
I don't think you are in Robeson County. Yeah, the Lumber River State Park.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay.
Oh, Sarah, I'm glad that you're okay. My daughter is what kept me.
Tell me what's happened.
From doing stuff too.
I'm about to kill myself, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay? Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
It's sad. It's tragic. But the family is still skeptical about all of this, and they think there's more to the story. I want you to take a look on the screen, though. John Paul Miller, her husband, released a statement through his attorney.
Sarah Zayo said that silver linings, and she's so glad you're okay and here with us. I just wanted you to know that she said that.
Said, it has been conclusively determined that Ms. Miller's death was the result of a self-inflicted.
Serena Eek said the same thing, love.
gunshot wound. This finding completely exonerates Pastor Miller of any wrongdoing. These baseless claims and false reporting have caused immense distress and harm to Pastor Miller and his family and needs to stop immediately. I want to bring in our think tank, Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Josh Schiffer. A tough story. But what's happening is that the family is upset. They think there's more to the story. And then you've got this firestorm that's happening on social media that has picked this up as well. And a lot of people pointing the finger at the pastor, but obviously law enforcement seemingly has come to their conclusion here based upon the evidence.
Based on what we have seen and heard, she called saying, I'm going to kill myself. It's not what you want to hear. The family is having to come together to understand and deal with this grief. So they're looking for a way to say it wasn't her. Sure, there's more to it. Maybe because of the divorce, maybe there was somebody involved with her, maybe not, but either way.
Sarah, we love you too. We all love everybody here. We love all our family members. Thank y'all.
Sadly, these are some of the tragedies that unfold throughout this country from time to time, much too often. It seems to me, based on the evidence, she was seen purchasing a gun. She called, spent a lot of time with 911.
Right.
And she was found.
Hobby Farmer, thank you for being here. I don't want to highlight your comment because it's a little personal, but I mean, just to kind of beat around the bush, she said she knew somebody who they thought was unalived, who did that to themselves, but then later found out the wife was having an affair with the best friend. And Hobby Farmer says families know when, you know, your family knows you better than anybody. So if they say that they don't think that person would have done that, most of the time they probably wouldn't have. And with the case you talked about where it was declared that they had done it to themselves, but then the wife was found to be having an affair with the best friend, that's an iffy situation. You could say, well, maybe he did it because he found out about the affair, or was the wife more involved, or the best friend? I'm sorry that happened. And I hope you're okay now. Thank you for being here.
Found where she said she was found. This is not her husband. Maybe he beat her up emotionally, maybe not, but physically she did this to herself.
I'm going to disagree with Daryl. I mean, if I was the family, if their intuition is saying, we don't think this is what happened, why can't they go ahead and work to investigate more deeply? We have certainly heard about botched investigations in the past. I'm not implying that's what happens here, but I would go to the ends of the earth to find out.
Well, let me ask you this.
About that.
Is there something that they like? What is their approach to this if law enforcement is saying,
I would
listen,
hire Charles Milstat right off the bat, and I would get cell phone data. That would be my first thing to do. And I'm going to shout out to Charles, but somebody like that, a private person, could go out and look at the cell phone data, look at the normally new cars you can get, like their black box, and see where it's gone. We have the flock camera. That's a government camera. Where's all the rest of them?
Yeah, and unfortunately, doing some of this crisis work, it's what we're called to do when we're lawyers. And when you're dealing with a family who's going to doubt the official line of law enforcement, who's going to call into question the truth that the decedent widower is saying, listen, everybody, leave me alone. This is a horrible tragedy. If I'm representing that family looking for the truth, getting that investigation started has to happen immediately. You've got electronic information that can disappear very quickly, but you want to take forward with that investigation in a tasteful manner.
How do you get your hands on this stuff? Do you have to can you subpoena without a lawsuit, without a cause of action going on?
Why would you do it? Why don't you just bring it to an end? I want a lot of things. But that doesn't mean that the logic and the facts support it.
But maybe
and
there's
the family
something we
needs
don't
to
know yet.
What do you know? What is it you need to know?
Maybe he was an abusive person.
Okay,
And maybe they saw that. And then when they heard her voice, they know her voice. Maybe they heard something that none of us would have heard through the line.
No, we're talking about a gun.
Right. I like to hear both sides of this. I love them talking back and forth. I like to hear both sides. Jenny says, if this topic becomes too much for anybody, feel free to take a break and come back on the replay. Thank you for that. Hobby Farmer says they should absolutely hire a PI, and I couldn't agree more. Zio says her advocacy for the families warned me on this interview. What does it hurt to give families a bit of grace and do a little bit of leaning? We are allowed to doubt things. Absolutely. Thank you, Serena, for becoming a new member. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We're so happy to have you as part of Speculation Station. If you guys want to become a member like Serena did and Shaboogies did, I do try to post daily in my membership posts, and I get a little bit more personal there, and sometimes put up videos of shorts that I think are funny. We just have a good time there and in the Discord. Thank you again so much, Serena, for doing that. I appreciate that. And Shaboogies earlier, I think it was Shaboogies.
She called and said she's going to kill herself. What more?
Nothing is always as it is.
Hold it right there. We're going to do some more on this up next.
State investigators are saying the evidence is consistent with suicide, and now the feds are taking a look at the case. We'll break it down.
One of the most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has
Yeah, and I do post bunny butts there too. Panel is available if anybody wants to join. I will drop that link if you would like to come up and talk on panel with me, or more than welcome. Yeah, we post Basil and all of that in there. Hi, Solistic. It's good to see you today. Basil, I was a little concerned about him yesterday because he was kind of just laying around, but he got up and was real active. So I think he just got hot. The AC is in there. So I think he's laying under the table with that.
This is 4 days after his wife's death. It's April 21st. Again, a lot of people looking at him.
I really wanted you guys to see this, and I'm really glad they're going to play it. Please pay attention to how he tells his congregation about what Micah did. It's completely sickening. It's so disrespectful.
But not local investigators. They've come to their conclusion about what happened in this case. Now, we've also heard that the feds are taking a look at this, and we have a statement from the FBI to Court TV regarding Micah's investigation. The Robeson County Sheriff's Office has been in contact with the U.S. Attorney's
If he doesn't play it, I'll play it.
Office and the Federal Bureau of Investigation in South Carolina since the early stages of the Micah Miller investigation. Based on the information gathered during the investigation and jurisdiction reasons, the Sheriff's Office has requested the assistance of both agencies. No other information will be released at this time. Now, something else that is happening on TikTok, on the Justice for
Overprotected, you are a member, love. Your name, if your name is green, you're a member. So you're good, love. And don't ever feel like you have to join. That's not why I do that. I want to make sure you know that that's not why I was saying that. But I did want to let you know you are a member.
Micah account, they posted some text messages, and these text messages are apparently, allegedly, from when Micah is alive, and it's the pastor Miller texting the family, "I'm on my way to your house. Be there, 12:55." Then the family responds, "We don't want any drama here." That was
sorry, Overprotected. Overprotected said, "You guys, my dog has an appointment tomorrow at the vet. A growth on her front left paw. I hope it's not cancer. Prayers for Luna." Let's all please say a prayer for Luna as well. I hope that goes okay. My friend has rabbits that have had to go into the vet quite a bit too, my neighbor. It's really scary. I hope everything goes good. Please let us know how Luna does.
That was the pretense of Micah coming for a visit, that it is just Micah alone. The pastor, 3 hours away, the family, "Matthew will not let you inside. We aren't doing that tonight." The pastor, "That's fine. You can call the cops." The family, "Our dog can barely handle visitors as it is, let alone any drama." The pastor, "I'm armed. I'm ready."
There you go.
Now, more text messages from the pastor. All of this stuff.
If that wasn't a threat, I don't know what is.
started because of one bad decision a month ago in Colombia. If I could turn back time, I would. We had the greatest marriage in the world up until that one wrong choice. More from the pastor. My blood is on you, and my kids will know I couldn't take it without you. All you had to do was come home to me, but you wouldn't. I'm done. Now, what was that one wrong choice? Take a look. This is from the Robson County Sheriff's Office from their press release. This information led to investigators.
I couldn't catch it, but Eek said to keep your memberships on because she does gift all the time. Okay. Overprotected Hobby Farmer was telling you something about Luna real quick.
Confirming the whereabouts of Miller and a female that he is allegedly romantically involved with. Investigators were able to confirm that both individuals were not in North Carolina on the night before and the day of Micah's death. So apparently the pastor was seeing another woman. They were involved, but investigators have taken a look at this now, and they have said, no, they weren't there.
Let's ask Daryl these questions.
Thank you.
Daryl, would you like to comment on
I'll be happy to comment. I'll be happy to comment it. What he may have done psychologically, the affair or the affairs that he had has nothing to do with the physical evidence of her committing suicide. And all
Eek just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I have a little video, but I'm not going to play it. I want to get a better one. Thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate that. If you guys were gifted a membership from Eek, please tell her thank you. Hello, Teresa. Thank you for being here. Teresa S. I think that's, hold on, let me find you. Yep, Teresa S. Thank you for being here. Thank you again, Eek. That was so sweet. Please tell Eek thank you if you guys were gifted a membership. Thank you again, Eek. You're so sweet. Oh,
also, I'd like to see the angle of the weapon. I would like to see if there's any residue.
Hey, Zio. I know I'm saying your name wrong, but I didn't know if you like it like that or what.
You're totally fine. Good afternoon. I just want to come up and hang out.
Okay, cool. If you need me to mute so you can say something, just let me know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, the medical examiner has said that everything is consistent with self-inflicted.
Yeah, but women don't tend to shoot themselves, just so you know, statistically.
But she did.
Yeah, but I know she did, but somebody could have done that right close like that.
I don't think the allegation is that someone else is there and pulled the trigger. I believe that the allegation is a consistent abusive dynamic that drove her to this spot. And if I'm loving her family and I'm representing her best interests, the interests of her children and inheritors, I want the truth to come out and know whether she is being extorted or abused or treated horribly, viciously by the person who ostensibly will.
How do you do that without defaming a man who hasn't been accused of anything?
The text will say the message is right there. Those are things that are proof in the pudding, so to speak. That's already saying that we're not defaming that. That kind of information. The cameras are going to show stuff. The anything that we can see about his peach pass, his sun pass, whatever the heck pass.
Pudding pass?
You're going to find them, yes. You're going to know where he's been, how he's been, and what he's been doing, and whatever the heck happened in Colombia.
But that's completely 2 different situations.
No.
One is she is dead. Maybe they may be correlated, but she is dead because of what she did to herself.
Nope.
She may have done that based upon the way he treated her and what he did.
Let me ask you this before we run out of time, and we only have a couple seconds here. Is it possible to pursue a wrongful death lawsuit for someone that has been psychologically turned to taking their own life?
I think there needs to be an investigation, both criminally and.
I could not agree more with that statement. Sarah, and I'm going to give you another trigger warning, states that rarely women would use a firearm. Women don't like making a mess for others to clean up after they are gone. And as triggering as that may be for some, that's absolutely true. Most of the time, if a woman is going to do something to herself, they don't use a firearm, statistically speaking.
And civilly.
Well, the criminals, they say it's done, but. Big thank you. Daryl Cohen, Meg Strickler, Josh Schiffer. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Folks, if you or someone you know is in crisis, please call or.
I tried to pull up. I really want y'all to see how he tells his congregation, and then we're going to go ahead and get into Elijah Boo. Hold on a minute. Let me try to pull it up. I hate when it does that. My computer's being slow. Sorry about that. See, it's telling me about the FBI raids, but like that's not what I want. Lordy, lordy, this computer. Yeah, I know he spoke out, but there's the Brian Koberger stuff y'all were talking about. Let's see if this is it. It's only a minute, so I don't know if it's the full video, but I'm going to try it. It's going to be an ad for beer. I apologize for that because it says it at the top. This is called Micah Miller's husband. Pastor husband claims he tries to raise her from the gone to another spiritual plane in an emotional eulogy. And this is from New York Post.
As Christians, of course, we know she's not here and in heaven, and she's worshiping and enjoying, and probably hadn't even had time to look down here yet. But I got this lay next to her body and spent time with her body about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up. I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week, and that morning actually, I went to the mall later. She had bought me this dog tag, and the chain broke, so I went to the mall to get it fixed. And I saw a female about 20, 30 feet in front of me, and she was wearing one of Micah's dresses.
Just to since I'm not able to pull it up, he basically says that Micah unalived herself, and then he follows that with, she had been sick and she didn't like to take her medication. And then he goes into this about talking about her, trying to raise her from the dead. This man is garbage in every sense of the word, in my opinion. And she had made plans. Somebody stated that she had made plans for the next day. That's also something you don't usually do if you're going to go do something like this. I think that at the very least, somebody else was there and they told her, you need to just do this. You need to just end it. There's no point in even being here, and at the very least talked her into it, if not forced her. But that's just, me allegedly speculating.
And she had the same tattoo Micah has on her arm and the exact same hair. And out of just instinct, I screamed, "Micah!" And the girl turned around, and it was one of her sisters. And I thought I raised her from the dead. She's alive, But I can't wait to see her again one day.
Eek says we need to stop it emoji, and we certainly do. We certainly do. I will work on that, actually. So I'm going to show you the person who's up here actually on stage with me right now. I'm going to show you her YouTube channel. She's the one that told me about this preliminary hearing that we are going to listen to. I want to make sure I put her up here so you guys can give her a like and subscribe. Let me do it this way. And she has got the article. She started and did a live stream going over it, but unfortunately it was about 45 minutes behind, but she has linked the article in the post of this video right here. So you guys can listen to her go over it. And you can also get the link from the bottom of her video. I need to hold on a minute.
So while you're setting that up, a little backstory on Elijah Vu, if for those that are not aware, was a little boy who went missing around the same time Sebastian Rogers, Madeline Soto, and the Caleb Harris all came up, like all at the same time. And he was actually missing. and he was sent to his mother's boyfriend's house for disciplinary reasons. He's 3. She sent him there to make him more of a man, and they did unspeakable things to this child. And while he allegedly was asleep, the child wandered out and was never seen again until they found the remains in September. But yesterday, the preliminary hearing from Manitowoc County was for his bindover, which means did the state have enough evidence to take him to trial? And they proved their case yesterday, and that's what this preliminary hearing was about, was getting the bindover. So, and I absolutely am looking forward to seeing this baby get justice.
Me too. Yeah, this case was very sad. I think I heard, and I could be completely wrong about this, I heard that the Jesse Vang was like related to his father somehow, possibly cousins or something. They were Hmong, which is the same culture. And so I think from what I understand that she was trying to discipline him and teach him about the Hmong culture. I could be wrong about that.
You're right. No, you're right. I didn't get into a whole bunch of that because I'm waiting to see some of the details that come out as they go. And a lot of these details that come out in this preliminary hearing are very, very hard to hear. The people that are involved in the case are already, you can tell that they're blatantly traumatized. This particular view is from the judge and the witnesses on the stand, or the people that were involved. And this people that are there in this front row here that you see, the 3 people right there, are family members. And it was facing them, and she was just so emotionally traumatized the whole hearing. It was heartbreaking. So yeah, you're absolutely right on what they were allegedly trying to teach this little boy. It didn't have anything to do with Katrina Bauer and her beliefs. It had to do with his and her following him blindly. It's pathetic, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you there. And thank you so much, Zio, for that backstory. I appreciate it, because I need to work on my backstories a little bit more so we don't have to sit here and watch videos. Thank
You're
you
fine.
for
I like watching your videos. I like the way you do your thing, girl.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Well, thank you for helping me with that backstory. And with that, we'll jump into this. So, like she just said, they're trying to make sure they have enough evidence to try this man over here in the orange jumpsuit, Jesse Vang, which again is who Elijah was with the last time he was seen alive. Probably going to put it on 1.25 and see if it's too fast. If it's too fast, let me know. I don't know how I've got it set to custom like this. Like, that's how not technologically savvy I am. I don't even know what that is or how I did it. I am awful.
So I think this latest update for YouTube, that's brand new. So instead of just being able to do 1 or 1.25, you can use that slider somehow. I haven't got to use it yet, so you're teaching me something.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. Very heavy trigger warning again, like she said. Jenny Jen says that it's rough to watch. Zio says so rough. I think it's a little low, so you'll have to turn your computers up. And I'm going to turn this up. Might want to wait a second, not blow your eardrums. See how loud it's going to be. I would love that too, Serena. I would really love to go pay my respects to this baby. Yeah, he was found at like a close to a Girl Scout camp. Like up in the woods near well, I think it was like kind of near a rock quarry as well, but I could be wrong about that too. We talked about it when they found his body. I did a couple of live streams, and that was in September, probably right when I started my channel. You want to check that out.
To those in the courtroom, if you're speaking, please remember to use the microphone when doing so.
Okay, Cozy, you're fine. It's going to be hard to listen to. I can go ahead and tell you. Yeah, protect your peace, like Dio said.
All right. We'll call State of Wisconsin versus Jesse Vang, case number 24CF692, appearances.
State appears by Jacqueline LeBrie and Joe Vandetti.
Hey, Paranormal. Thank you for being here.
Jesse Vang appears in person along with attorney Jeffrey Jensen Sr. and Joe Morgan.
Good afternoon. The matter is set today for a preliminary hearing. Attorney Jensen, what's the status?
We're prepared to proceed to preliminary hearing.
All right. Were there any inducements or offers that need to be withdrawn, Attorney LeBrie?
No, Judge.
All right. Is the state prepared?
Your Honor, the state is prepared. I do have 2 witnesses. One of them is already sequestered outside the courtroom.
All right. You can call your first witness then.
The state will call Special Agent Boland.
I'm going to try to catch these ads so they don't blow your eardrums out. So again, this is going to be from WLUK TB Fox Channel 11, which I'm assuming is the local news station, but I got it from Zio Firelight's YouTube. It's in her description box if you guys want it.
State your full name and spell your first and last name for the record.
It would be so cool if you guys could go together.
Eric Boland, ERIC. Last is BOLAND.
You can go ahead, Attorney LeBrie.
Thank you. Special Agent Boland, how are you currently employed?
I'm a special agent with the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation.
And how long have you been with DCI?
Last 1.5 years.
Prior to that, were you employed in law enforcement with other agencies?
I was.
And how long were you employed in law enforcement before joining DCI?
24 years.
I'm going to direct your attention to February 20th of 2024. Were you working for the Division of Criminal Investigations in LA?
Zio, you deserve it. And Trixie too. Trixie's the one that dropped the information about Micah Miller in there. I have been doing research for some stuff I want to talk about in regards to Sebastian Rogers, and I hadn't even realized these 2 things had went on. And now y'all talking in the chat told me about Brian Koberger, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. You guys help me out so much, and I really appreciate that. And if I can help you guys, I love to do that. By the way, if anybody in chat has a YouTube channel, please let us know so that we can have our family come and give you some subscribers and some likes and follows. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And as part of your work with the Division of Criminal Investigations, were you activated regarding a missing child in Two Rivers, Wisconsin?
Yes, we were.
Did you respond to that area?
I did.
And
Yes, does this have subtitles by chance?
Yeah, this was 30
Hold on. Let me probably. Yeah.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Dang it. That's okay. I was just curious. So the reason that I watched from the actual branch from the Manitowoc County Courthouse was because it was so low. They had really good audio from there, but it's only when it's live. So dang it with these news people being so quiet.
Yeah, it is. Let me know where yours picks up at, and then so we'll listen to it like where it's real low, and then when it gets about to the part where you started your live, I'll switch it to that so we can hear it better.
Girl, I don't want to hear myself talking.
Oh, as long as you don't mind if we use the video, we're good with
No,
it.
you're totally fine.
Okay, cool. So when it gets to that part, just let me know and I'll switch it to yours so we can hear it better. So if we can deal with it for the next, I've got it on 1.5, so it'll be a little bit. Oh,
I can hear it. It's just a little low, but it's perfectly fine.
Okay, cool. So we'll listen to it until we get to the part where you're at, and then we'll watch your live stream. I want tacos too. Okay, Sheila, thank you.
Apartment 102, Two Rivers, Wisconsin, in Manitowoc County.
And the child that was missing, approximately how old was that child?
3 years old.
You responded as part of DCI, but did other law enforcement agencies respond as well?
Yes.
And some of those agencies included the Two Rivers Police Department, Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, and other local agencies, correct?
That's correct.
As part of this investigation, was there an investigative team eventually formed with yourself and other officers?
Thank you, Michelle DeMantis, for being here. Yes, JP was arrested, but unfortunately, he got right out of jail. He was arrested for assaulting a protester. If you'd like to see about that, if you want to rewind the stream, we did that at the beginning of the stream. But I just wanted to let you know not to get too excited yet, unfortunately. But the FBI did raid his house, and I hope they got all the information they needed.
Yes.
And are you considered one of the lead officers in this case?
Yes, I am.
As a result of that, have you reviewed reports from the Two Rivers Police Department, Sheriff's Office, as well as DCI?
I have.
Not all the reports, but a fair number of them, correct?
That's correct.
As well as some of the evidence involved in this case, correct?
That's correct.
And in fact, were some of those, did you also review a criminal complaint?
Yes.
And in fact, the criminal complaint that involves a Jesse Vang.
Yes.
And the person you know as Jesse Vang, is he present in court today?
Yes, he is.
Could you describe where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's seated at the defendant's table wearing an orange jumpsuit.
Let the record reflect identification of the defendant.
Any objection, Attorney Johnson?
No, Your Honor.
All right, the record will reflect the identification of Mr. Vang for the purposes of this preliminary hearing.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
When we were talking about Richard Allen, it was brought up several times that they never had anybody do this. At least when we were talking about it in the Richard Allen case, nobody ever identified Richard Allen as Bridge Guy. I just wanted to let y'all know that while I was thinking about him doing that.
I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 1. Can you take a look at that, please?
Sure.
Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is Exhibit 1?
This is the criminal complaint that I reviewed in preparation of this hearing.
And that's the criminal complaint that was filed in this case?
That's correct.
And you've authored some of the reports that are the basis of this complaint and reviewed other reports, correct?
Yes.
And have you found the information contained in the criminal complaint accurate?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move Exhibit 1 into evidence.
I object. Yes, I do object. The criminal complaint is not evidence. There's even a jury instruction that tells the jury that it's not evidence because it's just a series of allegations. So I object.
Your Honor, this is a preliminary hearing. Hearsay is allowed at a preliminary hearing. There's going to be several follow-up questions as far as information. Some of that, based upon the technical nature of it, is going to need to be referred to from the complaint to make sure the record is accurate.
I didn't object on the grounds that he's using it to refresh his recollection. That would probably be appropriate. And hearsay is admissible at a preliminary hearing. But there are so many levels of hearsay involved in a criminal complaint. First of all, the officer who may have interviewed somebody at the scene, then he filed a report. Then this witness on the stand reviewed the report, transferred that information to a district attorney, who then put it into a criminal complaint. There's no way the court can evaluate the reliability of that evidence. So I object. It's not.
I understand what he's saying here. I was trying to pay really close attention. So what he's saying is like, somebody can make a police report and say, Jesse Vang ran over my dog. Well, and then it's in the police report, and then it's put into the affidavit. The thing they're talking about right now, the paperwork, and then it's spoken in court and people think it's evidence when in all actuality, it could have just been a criminal complaint or like somebody complaining against the person. So I can understand both objections that, we don't know the accuracy of this documentation, but at the same time, we have to use that documentation to show what he did, the criminal complaint. We also read over the criminal complaint for him and Katrina Bauer when Elijah's body was found back in September on a live stream. I think there's documents on the front of that thumbnail.
It's not evidence.
This is a preliminary hearing for the purposes of that. The court will will receive the criminal complaint over the objection. Go ahead, Attorney Bree.
Right, because without the criminal complaint, then there's no reason for a preliminary hearing, but it could be hearsay. I can see both sides.
Thank you. When you arrived in Two Rivers on February 20th of 2024, was law enforcement speaking with Mr. Vang at his apartment as well as at the Two Rivers Police Department?
Yes, they were.
Did they also speak with a Katrina Bauer?
Yes,
And as part of your work throughout this case, did you review some of those interviews?
I did.
I'm going to start with Katrina Bauer. What was her relationship to victim child one?
She was the mother.
Now, my objection is that the question does not specify whether that's calling for his.
You made me laugh, Jenny.
Hearsay. So I object to the form of the question.
Can you rephrase the question?
Was Katrina Bauer asked if her relationship to victim child one?
Yes,
And did she respond as what her relationship was?
yes, she did.
What was her relationship?
She was the mother to the missing child.
Well, she was something.
Sorry, it took me a minute. Yeah, Katrina Bauer, I saw pictures of her with Elijah when he was little, and she looked so healthy and so much better than she did at the time, like when you see her for her first court appearance after they got arrested. She definitely could have been a better mother. She had some issues, especially when we read in the criminal complaint that she left her older autistic daughter in the car on Valentine's Day so she could go in to Jesse Vang's apartment while Elijah Vu was blindfolded on the couch, covered in bruises, and they could go have their relations. I think it said in the bathroom or something. And there's a 5 or 6 year old autistic girl sitting in a car playing with a cell phone when it's like freezing, literally freezing outside. Definitely, yeah, it's disgusting. Definitely some horrible decision making. And she, by her appearance being so much better before and then after, when you see her in court, her appearance looks horrendous. I definitely think there's a lot of drugs involved in this, but and I can give her some grace for that, but I mean, still, it's just,
Well, I don't give any grace when it comes to children like that. I'm sorry, but I just can't do it, because when it comes to the children, yeah, unhealthy relationships and addictions get you. Yeah, I get that, but
right,
don't have babies then.
right. Yeah, I can agree with that. Or at least seek help for what you got going on at the very least. I mean, when you catch yourself doing stuff like that, like leaving your child in the car, you need to reevaluate, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I'm super judgy, and I don't say allegedly or speculating or anything like that when it comes to kiddos. I just have a really soft heart for the children of the universe. I think as
Yeah.
we all should. I mean, these are the people that are going to take care of me when I can't wipe my butt no more. So I would like to enforce good habits, and
Right.
hopefully the mothers are treating them well. I'm not sure how old they are. I think they're relatively young, but there's still no excuse for the way that they treated the baby.
Right. It sounded like also there was a lot of family members that would have taken him in. And
yes.
there's always other options.
Did she provide information about why the child was in Two Rivers?
I have the same objection. The form of the question does not lay a foundation as to whether this witness is interviewing Ms. Bauer or if she's being interviewed by somebody else who then filed a report reviewed by this witness. I believe there needs to at least be that foundation.
I can rephrase. Did you review reports regarding her interview or watch recordings of her interview?
Yes,
Okay. Was it review reports or watch the recording, or both?
I reviewed reports.
Okay. And that was part of your duties as being one of the lead investigators on this?
Correct.
Okay. And do you recall who the specific officers were who spoke with Katrina Bauer?
Initially, it was Lieutenant Jacob Glazer from the Two Rivers Police Department and Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office Detective Mike Herman.
Did she indicate to those interviewers why victim child one was in Two Rivers?
Yes.
And what did she say?
She was in a relationship with Jesse Vang, and she resided in Wisconsin Dells. She had trouble controlling victim child one's behavior issues. Therefore, victim child one was sent to Vang's apartment in Two Rivers to deal
there a time frame as far as when victim child one was in Two Rivers?
So he had victim child one had been going to Two Rivers for about a week at a time since January of 2024. He spent about a week at Vang's apartment and then returned back to Wisconsin Dells with his mother. At this recent stay, victim child one had been at Vang's apartment since February 12th, 2024.
Did law enforcement conduct follow-up to determine whether victim child one had been exchanged or with Jesse Vang during that February 12th time period?
Yes, we did.
And did you review some video or other evidence that was able to confirm whether victim child one was transferred to Mr. Vang?
Yes.
And what kind of evidence did you review?
We watched some video from a quick trip in Fond du Lac where Katrina Bauer had turned over child victim one to Jesse Vang on February 12th, 2024.
Was on February 20th of 2024, was Mr. Vang interviewed as well?
Yes.
Initially, this call came in as a missing child, correct?
Yes.
The first law enforcement agency responding was Two Rivers Police Department, local agencies, correct?
Correct.
And do you recall who was speaking with Mr. Vang initially?
I don't recall which patrol officer initially, but I know at some point Lieutenant Glazer was also speaking with Jesse Vang.
And was Mr. Vang asked about victim child one?
Yes.
And did he provide any information on whether victim child one was staying with him?
Yes, he did.
What kind of information did he provide?
He indicated that victim child one had been staying with him, and Vang referred to as babysitting him. He confirmed that he was in a relationship with Katrina Bauer, and that victim child one had been staying with him.
I had to return a phone call real quick, so I missed that. But I wanted to let y'all know I'm here and I'm listening. I do want to provide a trigger warning because I can only imagine what he's about to go into detail about.
As punishment for his bad behaviors back home.
Punishments with his behaviors with Ms. Bauer?
Correct.
Did he indicate specifically what kind of punishments were used?
Yes.
And what kind of punishments were used?
So throughout the course of the context with the police officers,
They're about to talk about punishments for Elijah that this man was using to, quote, teach him how to be a man at 3 years old. Anders, switching to a different subject, says, my theory about Summer Wells was that they forgot her in the car. She had a heat stroke and they hid her so they wouldn't lose custody of her brothers. I hope that Summer Wells is still alive out there somewhere, but that is a good theory. I hadn't thought about that. And it would make sense, but I know they did eventually end up losing custody of the boys, from what I understand. Thank you, Jenny. Jenny also offered a trigger warning. It is also scrolling across the bottom of my screen, just to let you know. Eek would like to teach Jesse how to be a man. Girl, I'm right there with you. Hope he learns in prison.
Initially indicated that he was using timeouts with victim child one and then withholding things from him, such as milk, food, ice cream. That then later transitioned into that learning that victim child one was afraid of cold water, and that Vang would threaten the use of cold water on victim child one for punishment. In addition to that, Vang also indicated that he used standing and praying as a primary form of punishment with victim child one. He further described that standing and praying would primarily be victim child one standing in the corner of Vang's bedroom, facing the corner by himself with his hands folded in front of him, palms facing together, and praying for extended period of time, as well as standing for extended periods of time.
And they forgot to add that when he was making this child stand there with his hands in the corner praying, he would have to say, I'm sorry, mommy. That broke my heart, just hearing that baby had to stand there and say, I'm sorry, mommy. I'm sorry, mommy. I'm sorry, mommy. Like, that got me emotional.
Additionally, he indicated that during this last stay, since February 12th, at the time until February 20th, 2024, victim child one was not allowed to have access or play with any toys. In addition, Vang also indicated that he did not allow victim child one to have any contact with his mother, with the thought that of depriving the child of things would make him more appreciative of those things later on.
No matter what type of severe
I am so sorry. My computer is running a little bit like slow. I need to make sure I don't have any articles up. I'm so sorry if that blew your eardrums.
I'm going to go back to the standing and praying that you described. You indicated that some of that was for extended periods of time, correct?
Yes.
Did he give a time frame?
At certain points during the conversation, he said that he would make him stand for an hour. Other times he mentioned that he would stand for 2 to 3 hours at a time.
Ink says, my son says, I'm sorry, and I melt. Instant forgiveness. He's a child. He feels bad. That's all the punishment should be at that age, and I agree.
As part of this investigation, did law enforcement review cell phone information from Katrina Bauer as well as Jesse Vang and some of the children's cell phones?
Yes.
Did you review some of that data from Katrina Bauer as well as Jesse Vang and some of the other children's cell phones?
I did.
When Katrina Bauer and Jesse Vang were interviewed, did law enforcement try and determine a timeline as far as when Katrina was in Two Rivers and when she was in the Wisconsin Dells?
Yes.
And one of those time periods involved February 14th of 2024, correct?
Yes.
Was there a point in time where Ms. Bauer admitted to being in Two Rivers on February 14th?
Initially, she denied being in Two Rivers, however, later acknowledged that she was in Two Rivers in the early morning hours of February 14th, 2024.
And when there was a review of the cell phone, were there any photographs that would substantiate her being in Two Rivers on that date?
I object to the question. There's no foundation as to whose cell phone.
I'll rephrase. When Katrina Bauer's cell phone was reviewed, were there any photographs from that February 14th timeframe of 2024?
Yes, there was.
And did you review that photograph?
Yes, I did.
And was that a photograph of victim child one?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, I ask permission to approach.
Hobby Farmer said I had to step away. Sorry, who's this person in the blue suit testifying? I missed his name. I think he's part of the police force or the FBI. One of the two. He's a law official that is going over the criminal complaint against Jesse Vang. So basically the purpose. Go ahead, Zaya.
I'm not sure which one it was, if it's Eric Valland or if it's Justin Reagan, but it's one of the two special agents in the case. I couldn't remember which one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. What they're doing is going over the criminal complaint, and they're basically trying to bound Jesse Vang over so that he can be held on trial to account for the death of Elijah Vu. You're good, Eek.
So while they're doing all of this kind of stuff, you're fine. But basically they did the court found yesterday they had probable cause that the defendant committed the felony. He was bound over to circuit court, and then they have an arraignment scheduled for November the 18th at 11:30 in the morning. And it's in Manitowoc County Courthouse, and you can catch all of that stuff on live, or one of the two of us will live stream it or something. But he was charged with the physical abuse of a child, repeated act causing death, hiding a corpse, and resisting resisting or obstructing an officer are the three charges. Two of them are felonies, and one of them is a misdemeanor. So that's what he's charged with.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, actually, since you're covering this case, maybe on that day we can schedule to go over and watch at your YouTube channel, and I can get up on panel with you or something, and we can all watch together over there. That sounds like fun.
That'd be amazing. Yeah, I know that a lot of people don't have, 2 hours to sit and watch from the beginning to end on what that's about. So that's just the basic coverage of what happened. So in the end, the state proved that they had enough evidence to say he did this. We're going to take him to court for it. So.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. I wish I could too, Jenny.
Found in Katrina Bowers' cell phone. The video shows victim child 1 that appears to be laying on the couch or the futon. He's not wearing a t-shirt. He's partially covered up in a red, black, and white fuzzy blanket. Of note is there's a black blindfold over his eyes. And also of note is there appears to be marks or bruises along the side of his neck.
Hobby, that charge, it's a Class A felony for physical abuse, and then the charge carries a maximum sentence of life in prison rather than the death penalty because Wisconsin does not permit capital punishment. So it's not a death penalty case.
Yeah, I had the files. Let me see if I can pull them up real quick, because I had it on my computer, the charges, if my computer wants to work. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it's on here now. Hold on, I'm
Eek,
pulling
are
them
you
up.
watching the Araya case? I watched that mother testify on that stand yesterday for the first day. I want to cover the case so badly, but it's such a high trigger warning. It was a 10-month-old baby that was left in a hot car, and it got up to 133 degrees, and the babysitter had her for 5 hours sitting in that car. And when she came to the door, she knocked on the door. The babysitter didn't answer. She called her. She opened the door. Then she pushed past her, screaming, ran to her Tahoe, opened the door, and her baby was in there. It is so sad.
Oh
And
my God.
she's 24. She's very young, very, very young. I mean, I could be her mother, that could be my grandbaby. So it was very triggering. So if you definitely protect your peace on and your mental health on the Rhonda Jewell case, because that is it's today's the second day, and it is sad. It is sad.
Wow.
That is
Yeah.
it, and anybody who covers that case, that is real true crime, trigger true crime.
Yeah, I saw it pop up, and I actually had it saved in this playlist in case we could talk about it. And after we watch this, we'll
Definitely
watch that
should.
video real quick on that. But I haven't watched the trial yet.
Oh, Jenny, thank you so much. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. My little baby channel. I'm so excited. Thank you to Allegedly for even platforming me enough to have my own opinions. I just love it. I just really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem. I love to help my family members get out here. Yeah, we'll watch a video they put out about that trial that's going on right now with the baby. I think it's the same one. I saw a video on it, and I thought that we might look into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I can cover the trial. Maybe we can go over some highlights. I don't know that I personally could handle that, because I might get triggered with that one.
It is very, very difficult.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I will try to grab it and drop it from my phone, Serena.
The exhibit 2 that you have in front of you is a copy, obviously. Does that fairly and accurately represent that photograph?
Yes.
And move exhibit 2 into evidence.
There's no foundation as to when the photograph was taken, and without that, it's not relevant.
I believe he testified that there was a photograph located from February 14th, but I can ask the follow-up. When the Katrina Bauer cell phone was reviewed, did it indicate, during that review, are you able to see a date or any time marking of when that photograph would have been taken?
Yes, the metadata show that.
And what date would that photograph have been taken?
February 14th, 2024 at 3:13 a.m.
And move exhibit 2 into evidence.
Any objection, Attorney Jansen? Johnson? All right, the court will receive that exhibit and its own motion seal that document for use by the attorneys.
Thank you. Special Agent Boland, as part of your work on this case, you indicated you reviewed some cell phone information. Were Katrina Bauer and Jesse Vang communicating in other means besides talking on the phone?
They're also text messaging on their phones and also using Facebook Messenger.
Did you review, strike that, were the Facebook messages between Katrina Bauer and Jesse Vang obtained by law enforcement?
Yes.
Was one of your tasks in this case to review Facebook messaging between Katrina Bauer and Jesse Vang?
Yes, it was.
And I'm looking in the time period between January 1st of 2024 through that February 20th, 2024 timeframe, okay? Roughly, approximately, how many Facebook messages were going back and forth between Katrina Bauer and Jesse Vang?
I'll just clarify, the records that we requested started December 1st of 2023 through February 20th. And during that time frame, approximately 2.5 months, there's well over 15,000 Facebook text messages alone between them.
And your job was to review some of those, correct?
Correct.
And some of them were messaging as far as typing out words. Other times there were pictures and videos, correct?
Yes.
And if there were pictures and videos in these messaging, when you did your review, did you look at those pictures and videos as well?
I did.
Okay. And as far as between that January 1st, 2024 timeframe and February 20th, 2024, was there messaging between Katrina Bauer and Jesse Vang regarding victim child 1 staying at Jesse Vang's residence at various times through that 2-month time period?
Yes, it was.
And was that also supported by videos and photographs?
Yes, it was.
Are you familiar with Mr. Vang's apartment?
Yes, I am.
So when you were looking at certain photographs, were you able to identify whether victim child 1 was in that apartment or a different location?
For the most part, yes.
In your review of those messaging between January of 2024 and February of 2024, were there conversations about discipline involving victim child 1?
Yes.
And we'll get into some specifics, but generally, what were some of the disciplines that were discussed between Mr. Vang and Ms. Bauer on these Facebook messages?
Some of the forms of discipline, like I
Again, heavy trigger warning.
mentioned before, was standing for extended periods of time, standing and praying in the corner, making him repeat phrases such as "good boy," "sorry mom," over and over several times. There was also some mention of sleep deprivation.
Was cold water mentioned as well?
Yes.
And as far as the standing and praying for periods of time, was that a one-time thing or was it more than once?
More than once.
When you were reviewing these videos, you indicated that there were times that victim child 1 was saying some phrases. And what were those? What was the typical phrase that he would be asked to say to Katrina Bauer?
Sometimes a lot of the phrases were prompted by Jesse Vang, so he would prompt victim child 1 what to say, such as "sorry mommy," "good boy," "no more," "I don't want to live at Uncle's house anymore," things like that.
When he said he didn't want to live at Uncle's house anymore,
That's really hard to hear, y'all, and I'm super sorry. I couldn't imagine that baby saying those things just over and over and over and over again in the corner. It's horrendous to even fathom.
was that ever clarified as far as who Uncle was?
Yes, early on
Cozy-
in the investigation, the initial responding officers had clarified that.
Cozy Constellations has a channel too, and I will drop her down here so you guys can give her a subscribe.
With Jesse Vang, because he initially referred to victim child 1 as his nephew, but then clarified that he's not related via family to the victim child. That's just what he was referred to as.
I'm going to get into some more specifics regarding these Facebook messages, okay, and some of the videos. Specifically, did you review some videos from January 22nd, 2024?
I did.
And just to direct your attention, the first video I'm going to ask you about is at approximately 18:56 hours, okay? Was there a video during that time period that you reviewed as far as victim child one standing by a door in Jesse Vang's bedroom?
In order to be accurate, I need to review the criminal complaint.
Your Honor, I'd ask, or strike, would that refresh your memory?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask permission for him to review page 8 of the criminal complaint.
You may review page 8, take a look at it, and put the complaint back down.
And the one I'm referencing is at time 1856. Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
And what did that video depict?
It was a 9-second video of showing Elijah standing by the door of the apartment. And as it was believed to be Jesse Vang had approached him, victim child one seemed to cower and quickly sit down by the door and say, "Don't hit me."
Did he make any references about being a good boy or anything along those lines?
No.
Okay. And
This is a 3-year-old. A 3-year-old.
Yep.
Was
Yeah. Yeah. This is a 3-year-old. Please remember that. It's all of it's disgusting.
at approximately
Basil has joined us.
22:11.
Hi, Basil.
Was there some conversation regarding?
He looked at the laptop.
Yes.
And do you recall what that conversation was?
I have to refer to the criminal complaint to refresh my memory.
Your Honor, I'd ask that the officer be allowed to review the bottom of page 8.
You may go ahead and review page 8.
Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
And what was the message around 22:11?
The message was sent by Jesse Vang.
I just dropped the Cozy Constellations YouTube channel in the chat too. If you wouldn't mind, please give her a subscribe. I actually did it on my phone and I can see Basil. Like on the computer, it just shows me the word Basil, but like I can see him. That's so cute. I love it.
Indicating that victim child one was in boot camp, and he hates the fact that victim child one is a faker and a crier, and he hates the fact that when Jesse walks into the room, victim child one says, "Out," and "Don't hurt me."
In this day and age of technology, do people think they can record things like this and get away with it?
Dumb criminals. I don't understand, but then, you know, I talk about that a lot and I wonder, like, I'm like, in this day and age, with all of the, you know, technology that we have, why is there still so many missing kids? Why haven't they found Summer Wells or Sebastian Rogers? Like, there's cameras everywhere. There's ways to trace what they were doing. Like, that's the thing that irritates me about all of it. Like,
You're so
we've got
right.
all this.
You're so right.
Yeah, we got all this technology and we can do almost anything except find missing children. Like, stop it.
Well, and I guess it's also to be said for all of the cases that we do see, it's also said that there's 2 or 3 cases that they don't catch that we'll never see.
Yeah. That is a sad statistic.
Pizzagate. Who
Yeah.
has pizza? I want pizza. Are we having tacos or pizza?
Both. If it was up to me, both with some ice cream too.
Taco
Pizzagate.
pizza.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you know, I'm probably saying it wrong, but I called it a gyro. It's GYRO. I worked at a place that made pizza and those, and I used to make a pizza with the sauce on it, which like they could never sell it because I was taking a risk by putting it on the pizza, but it never made me sick. But it's like a yogurt type of sauce, so it shouldn't be on pizza. But I used to put that sauce and then the lamb's meat on it and like a really fluffy pizza crust, and I love them things. They were awesome.
Girl, you are brave.
Approximately 23 hours and 7 minutes. Did Mr. Vang message about a punishment that was imposed to victim child 1?
Again, I'd have to refer to the criminal complaint to refresh my memory.
Your Honor, I ask that the officer be allowed to review page 9.
Review page 9.
Which one specifically were you referring to?
January 22nd, 2024 at 23 hours, 7 minutes.
Anders, that's very true. Very true. They know where Stephen Stearns is from like A to Z. He couldn't hide from a flea at this point.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on some stuff back from them. I actually got a return to one of my requests, but they keep telling me like we can't give you that information, and I keep saying, but it's already out here on YouTube, so yes you can. So I'm trying to get more information about him in jail and stuff. Oh, am I muted? Oh no, he wasn't talking in the mic. Okay.
No, you're here.
What was in that message?
It was a message sent by Jesse saying that this was his punishment from faking earlier, then followed up with a video showing victim child 1 repeating the phrase, good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy, 10 times over. Vang makes the comment that no more seeing him. He had been, this was his punishment from 3 hours earlier.
There are several messages after that talking about this punishment, correct?
Yes.
And some videos that go along with that, correct?
Yes.
And we're talking shortly before midnight on January 22nd, going into the early morning hours of January 23rd of 2024, correct?
Yes.
Do these videos depict victim child 1 as far as his physical appearance and what he was physically doing? Some of them.
Yes.
And do you recall what kind of victim child 1's appearance or physical actions were in these early morning hours?
Like I said, I have to refresh the criminal complaint.
Your Honor, I ask permission for him to review page 9.
This guy is thorough. He's like, I'm not going to say something off of the record and screw this up. I really like the way he testified yesterday.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I appreciate that because we want to make sure that everything is accurate and that the defense can't use anything against him that could make it to where Jesse Vang walks. I hope that they make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed in this. I like that. Thank you for sharing that with us. It is hobby, and I need to work on my wording of the FOIA request. I think I definitely need to review that.
Shortly after midnight, how did victim child 1 appear in the video?
He appeared very tired and he was rubbing his eyes. Yet he was still being told to continue reciting some phrases.
Later that day on January 23rd, 2024, at approximately 15 hours and 10 minutes, was there another video sent to Ms. Bauer by Mr. Vang?
Your Honor, at this point, I object on the grounds of relevance. And when this line of questioning first started, I thought it was leading somewhere, but it's over a month before the child disappeared. And none of these incidents seem reasonably likely to have resulted in neglect or death or anything of that nature. So I fail to see the relevance and object.
You're wrong.
Yeah, that's why I was pausing. You're wrong because it's all related, because from what everybody thinks and from what I understand, his death is a direct correlation of the punishment he was receiving. So it's absolutely relevant.
Absolutely.
the charging paragraph, the incident date that's charged is from January 1st, 2024 through that February 20th, 2024 date. And he's charged with chronic child abuse. This shows the pattern of activity as far as the punishments that were imposed, the types of punishments that were used throughout this time period with Mr. Vang that did lead up to his death.
The objection is noted. I'll allow the question.
Specifically on that January 23rd, 2024 at 15:10, there was a video sent, correct?
Yes.
And do you recall the video with Mr. Vang's hand on victim child's one's neck or shoulder area?
Yes.
And do you recall what Mr. Vang was telling victim child one to do or how that interaction occurred on the video?
I don't recall specifically what Mr. Vang was saying. However, he was prompting Elijah to repeat some phrases. And at the same time, while Mr. Vang's hand was on victim child one neck and shoulder area, and appeared to be like he was squeezing it, you could tell that victim child one appeared to be wincing as a result from it.
Pathetic human
There was
being.
additional, messaging through January 24th of 20.
Absolutely. That is disgusting.
I have never in my life put my hands around anybody's neck, much less a 3-year-old child, to squeeze it. I mean, you absolutely have no. There's special place in hell for people like this man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What the hell?
Yeah,
I thought
that's
it said
if
his
he.
hand.
No, yeah, if he makes it through prison, because there's special place in prison. Those boys really, really do not like child predators.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely going to have to be in protective custody, but considering that it's not some type of molestation or something, he might not be. I hope General Pop gets him. I do, because that's bullshit. That is, and he says he appears to be wincing, and this motherfucker, excuse my French, was comfortable enough to send it in a video.
Yeah, agreed. And send it to the
Like,
mom. Like, here, this is what we're doing for your kid. How? No.
right. Absolutely disgusting. Zio, our friend up here, told us the statute, which is physical abuse of a child, repeated acts causing death. So yes, it's very relevant, and that is from the criminal complaint that we read a couple of lives ago when Elijah's body was found. She pulled it from the criminal complaint and told us that charge, and I think there was a couple of charges repeated. I don't know if that one was repeated or not.
Yeah, that one's that is a repeater. Repeated acts. Yeah, that one is a repeater, and then resisting or obstructing is a repeater. Hiding a corpse is also a repeater. I don't know if that's because I don't know what they're thinking on that yet. So I don't know if they're thinking that it was moved. I don't know the answer to that one. I'm not even going to speculate whether, because they allegedly they searched that area and then came back and it was there. So I don't know what they're thinking on that part as far as the remains are concerned.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for refreshing my memory on that.
As well, correct? Correct. And some of those we're discussing, again, sleep deprivation and timeouts that were being used.
Correct.
When you reviewed these photographs and messaging.
Hobby says, do we know if any other children were disciplined by Vang? So I know that he has an autistic son because it references him getting his autistic son on the bus. And I know she has an autistic little girl that's like 5 or 6 years old. That is Elijah's older sister. So I'm not sure. I imagine he disciplined his own child at some point. I don't know about the little girl. Probably, if I had to speculate, I would say probably because he was dating the mother, and the mother was comfortable enough to leave Elijah there with him. So I would say that to be disciplined. So I would say if she's comfortable enough to leave her youngest child there specifically to be disciplined, that she had been comfortable enough with it with the older daughter as well.
Yeah. They do say that they don't have any evidence or allegations right now of any harm to any other children, or at least it hasn't been publicly disclosed, like you said. But right now, the reason that you won't hear about that unless it gets put into the case is because the focus of the investigation and all the legal proceedings is towards the alleged treatment of Elijah Vu. And it's detailed testimonies and charges solely related to this incident. So the likelihood that you'll hear about any of that is very small.
Okay, thank you for that. Hobby, you're fine. I'm not sure what the cause of death was. I don't know if that's been released. I know that they had found the body, and it was skeletal remains in a diaper, from what I understand. I could be wrong about that, so don't take it as fact.
At the end of the hearing, they go over a little bit of the autopsy, and there was I believe it said it could fracture. There was a jaw fracture that they could see. And then, of course, the rest of it is obviously, like you said, it's just remains. But they did say that they did see a fracture, so they couldn't really derive cause of death, or time of death, but they did see that there was some physical damage that was before he was passed. And the reason they know that is because the fracture had not started healing. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it comes up at the end of this.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
For sure.
Did you find any photographs or videos that were consistent with that praying position that Mr. Vang had described?
Yes.
Okay. And just my last question regarding these January Facebook messages. On January 31st of 2024, was there any reference by Mr. Vang in a message at approximately 16:35 regarding a baby prison?
Yes.
And do you recall approximately what he messaged about a baby prison?
I believe he messaged, he's in baby prison, RN, suggesting right now.
During the course of your investigation, as part of the investigation, does law enforcement try to determine whereabouts of Mr. Vang during that week of February 12th through February 20th of 2024?
Yes.
And you can do that by different means, correct?
Correct.
Some of that is by cell phone data, some of that is by video evidence, those types of things, correct?
Correct.
And specifically, did law enforcement try and create for lack of a better term, a timeline of what was going on during that time period?
Yes.
I'm going to talk specifically about Friday, February 16th of 2024. And that evening, victim child 1 was still in Mr. Vang's care, as far as you knew.
Correct.
Okay. And in fact, there was some video evidence from an automobile place where victim child 1 was seen with Mr. Vang, correct?
On the evening of February 16th, correct.
Okay. After that, was law enforcement able to develop some information as far as Mr. Vang's whereabouts that evening of the 16th after he was at Ross Auto with victim child 1?
Yes.
And what type of evidence was law enforcement able to utilize to put together that time period of where he was that evening?
I object on the grounds there's no foundation as to the source of this information.
She's going to lay the foundation.
I'll rephrase the question, but that's what I'm asking for. What sources of evidence were they able to develop?
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Let me know when it picks up about where you came in so we can switch it to the louder one.
Yeah, I was late to the party, so I mean you could switch anytime. Basically, the long and short of it is all of this is going to come back out in trial. I mean you could switch it anytime you want, but I was going to ask if you knew. So the car that he was driving, was that a borrowed car, or was that do you know? I know it comes up. The car comes up, and the reason and the way they were able to tie him to the crime scene, you're going to figure that out as well. But do you know if the car they were driving, was it their car, or was it borrowed or rented, or do we know?
Well, if it was that golden colored car, I would think it was probably his. But I'm not sure.
Oh, hi. You are late. Where is your
Hi.
hall pass?
Hey, Norma and Abellis, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. We're catching up on Jesse Vang's preliminary hearing to see if he's going to be held over for trial on Elijah Boo. And spoiler alert, he is. Thank goodness.
You can answer the question. So we had accumulated text messages, cell tower information from phone companies, information from phone extractions, and video surveillance from multiple different places or businesses.
On the evening of February 16th of 2024, did Katrina Bauer return back to the Two Rivers area?
Yes, she did.
And I'm going to talk as far as cell phone data information. Were you able to see where Mr. Vang's and Ms. Bauer's cell phones were traveling that evening?
Yes.
And was there a point in time when Mr. Vang left the Two Rivers area?
Yes.
And where did he travel to? Or where did the cell phone travel to?
We believe both Katrina and Jesse's phone traveled together to the city of Manitowoc. It appears that Jesse Vang got dropped off at Sucidie Bar while Katrina Bauer continued to Quick Trip.
Did law enforcement follow up with Sucidie Bar to see if Jesse Vang had stopped at that establishment?
Yes.
And were they able to confirm whether he had stopped there?
Yes.
Did Ms. Bauer, while Mr. Vang's cell phone was at Sucidie Bar, did she travel to another location?
Yes, she traveled.
Hobby, I have a rabbit and his name is Basil, and I talk about him a lot. And so he's kind of like our channel's mascot. And that's actually a picture of him that I was able to upload and then remove the background from and make him into an emoji so that when we talk about him, y'all can drop his little picture there. That's what that is. Thank you again, Norma and Abellis, for being here. Shh, I'm not muted.
Was law enforcement able to obtain surveillance video from that Quick Trip?
Yes.
And was Ms. Bauer on any of that surveillance video?
Yes, she was.
Was victim child 1 seen on that surveillance video?
Victim child 1 was not seen with Katrina Bauer.
And in fact, some of that surveillance video was inside the Quick Trip as well as exterior, correct?
That's correct.
Hobby, they are the
Did
best.
exterior surveillance video show her car?
Yes, it did.
Or the car she was using, I'm sorry.
The car was owned by Jesse Vang. It was a white Honda, and she was driving it at the time.
And victim child 1 was not in the vehicle?
Correct.
And was, to the best of your knowledge, victim child 1 ever seen at Sucidie Bar?
Okay, so that's interesting. The golden colored car that we saw when we went over all the information that I was able to get when they found Elijah's body was not a white Honda. And from what they just said, Jesse Vang had a white Honda that Katrina would drive. So I wonder who owned the gold car, unless it was also Jesse Vang's. I don't think they rented it because that thing was a beater from what it looked like. Maybe a friend's car or a parent's car or something. I think he lived with his mother, but I'm not sure.
We had no information that victim child 1 was at Sucidie Bar.
Did law enforcement try and determine if anyone was supervising, babysitting, or caring for victim child 1 that evening of February 16th, 2024?
We could not locate anybody that would have been caring for victim child 1 except for Jesse Vang and Katrina Bauer.
Katrina Bauer then left Two Rivers the early morning hours of February 17th, 2024, correct?
Correct.
Was victim child 1 with her when she left, or was victim child 1 left in Two Rivers?
It's believed that he was left in Two Rivers.
After she left Two Rivers on February 17th, did messaging between Katrina Bauer and Mr. Vang continue?
Yes.
And on February 18th of 2024, at approximately 4:36 a.m., was there a discussion about victim child 1 and his opinions or their goal as far as his relationship with Mr. Vang?
Yes, there was.
Did you review that discussion as well?
I did.
Can you give a general overview of what that discussion was between Mr. Vang and Ms. Bauer?
The summary was that Vang messaged that I told you to trust me, that Vang said that he was trying to get the victim child one to fear him, or that there was a manipulation of fear, and that Katrina Bauer responded that she didn't want him to fear Vang. However, Vang replied back is, now he's going to respect me.
As part of this investigation, were some experts utilized to review evidence?
Yes.
And was one of those experts that was utilized a Dr. Hillary Petzka from Children's Hospital of Wisconsin?
Yes.
And are you aware of kind of what her specialty is?
Yeah, she's a pediatrician at Children's Hospital.
And does she have a specialty within pediatrics that she also has?
I believe it's child abuse and neglect.
Did the investigative team provide her some information to review?
Yes.
What type of, not the whole list, but kind of a general idea, what type of information was provided to her for review?
I believe we provided her prior medical records, social services reports, contents of the messages exchanged between Katrina Bauer and Jesse Vang, the pictures, the photographs associated with those messages, and records like that.
Did she provide?
Thank you, Abellis. That was so sweet of you. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. That was really sweet of you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I'm going to go buy Basil some lots of treats and snacks with the money y'all send for him. Thank you. Zio, I'm going to pick up. I wanted to make sure that I was where you, so I was like, I know I'm 45 minutes in. Do you know if it was exactly 45 minutes in that you picked up?
It picks up as soon as basically as soon as the state rests and the defense starts talking. Like I said, it's basically you're going to hear all of this in court again, so you can pick up there anytime you're ready. It's not that you're going to miss a whole bunch, and it's all going to come out in trial. So, and then don't mind my bluntness.
Oh, you're fine. I like people being blunt. I appreciate that. I think we should have more of that. Eek, thank you so much. Eek also gifted 5 allegedly speculating memberships. Thank you. If you guys got a membership from her, please tell her thank you. Thank you guys so much. Y'all are so sweet. Thank you.
Velis is gonna fight with Eek, or the other way around. They're boxing in the chat.
Yeah. Y'all are funny. I love it. I love to see all of you guys come and talk in chat. It's what I love watching y'all talk in chat. It's what makes it. So we're gonna pick up here with Zio's because honestly, I want to hear what she has to say now that she's talking about being blunt. And I've got to turn the air on because Basil's in here now and he's breathing kind of hard. So I need to get some air blowing on him. And when I turned the air on, I was not able to hear it. Abellis, thank you. Abellis just gifted 5 allegedly speculating memberships. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You guys are so awesome.
It was so cute. I know you want a new one, but play it. It's so cute.
Oh, do you guys like it? I didn't think anybody liked it. Hold on a minute.
Play your thing. It's so cute.
Okay. Where is it? Okay, so this is the new members clip. Thank you guys for gifting the memberships. I really appreciate that. This
Yes, I love that.
My computer wouldn't unmute. I'm so glad. Well, I'll play it then. I didn't know if anybody liked it or not. Thank you for letting me know that. I'll make sure to play it when we get members. That is from Polar Express. My kids, we watched that movie as a family at Christmas time. Okay. So thank you guys again for gifting. I really appreciate that. That helps us all so much. I'm gonna play. This is Sandra Firelight's channel, and this is going to be her going over the preliminary hearing we are listening to now. If you want to see the whole thing uninterrupted, you can check her description box. You just go under right here where it says live preliminary hearing for Jesse Vang, Manitowoc County. You go on this video, and then you click right here where it says more. And then you go down, and right here where it says this YouTube button, and it says 3-year-old found deceased mother's boyfriend right there. You click on that, and it will bring that up for you. We're going to listen to this because, again, Basil is hot, and I need to turn my air on, and I cannot hear anything they say when I turn my air on. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. Consider hitting that like button if you like it here. Oh, Zio, you don't have to hide in the bushes.
Eek is shaking out those bushes anyway.
So,
my goodness, Eek, thank you. If you guys got a membership from Eek, please tell her thank you. I'll play it again. Thank you, Eek. That was so sweet. Y'all are being so sweet. Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. You guys are shaking the bushes hard. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. You guys are awesome. I'm gonna mute and play this preliminary hearing. I do too. Norma, me and the kids and the family, we watch The Nightmare Before Christmas for Halloween, and then we usually do a scary movie. See, the good thing, I homeschool, so we can watch a scary movie, and then I can have them write about it afterwards, like write paragraphs or like a short essay, and it's considered schoolwork, which is pretty cool. So we watch The Nightmare Before Christmas, and then we watch Christmas movies too. We try to watch that one, The Polar Express, and a couple other ones. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. I love my little family. So this again is Zio Firelights.
when you said that reviewing those paragraphs refreshed your recollection, do you have some recollection of seeing a piece of evidence where the child said, "Oh, don't hurt me," or anything of that nature?
I don't understand the question.
Well, the prosecutor asked you to review that part of the criminal complaint, correct?
Correct.
And after you reviewed it, you said your recollection was refreshed, right?
Yes.
Real quick, and I swear I'll stop pausing it. I see that you have your little voodoo doll that is over the video. I have been trying in the daytime with a flashlight to figure out how to make something like that, like go over the video I'm playing, just like you did. So we got to talk.
Yeah, for sure. And there's not much except for me and Eek just kind of chatting in the chat. So if you wanted to X out of the top chat, there's not much there. It's just a baby team.
Okay, cool. Hopefully it will get bigger soon. We're working on it.
I don't need to. Well, I mean, the channel needs to get bigger. I don't need
in the
to get
video.
bigger.
Oh, stop it. The channel, I want the channel to grow.
You guys are amazing.
You're awesome. You guys are too. You guys help me out, and I love to watch you guys chat.
The boy sat down and cowered when Jesse Vang came toward him and said, "Oh, don't hurt me." Didn't you testify words to that effect?
Yes.
That's nowhere in the paragraph you reviewed, is it?
Correct. That would be in the paragraph right after that.
Okay. Again, that's Jesse Vang speaking, not the child, right?
Correct.
So my question is whether you are aware of any video or any piece of evidence that shows the child victim cowering when Vang approaches and says, "Oh, don't hurt me."
I don't recall seeing one of those videos in prep.
So this is hard to hear. Evidently, Elijah was coloring, and then Vang approaches him, and Elijah says, "Ow, don't hurt me." Like, that's just heartbreaking to hear. Again, heavy trigger warning.
Preparation for this hearing.
Now, you testified that well, let me start over again. You also testified that in a video, you can see Vang's hand on the child's shoulder and neck area and that he's squeezing, right?
Yes.
Say that? And in order to render that testimony, you were asked to review page 9 of the criminal complaint, the paragraph concerning January 23rd at 15:10. So can you look at that paragraph and tell me when you're there?
Which paragraph are you referencing?
January 23rd at 15:10. It says Vang sent a 27-second video showing. You see that?
I do.
And when you reviewed that, you said it refreshed your recollection, right?
Yes.
Sorry, y'all. I'm not muted. I did that to try to fix the quality. That was my fault. I apologize for that.
Correct?
There's nothing in that paragraph. Correct.
There's nothing in that paragraph about Vang's hand being on his shoulder or neck area, right?
Yeah, I live out in the sticks, so the internet is slow sometimes, and I just have like a little Chromebook. So if y'all can work with me, then we'll have a good time. Sometimes my computer is a little wonky.
The paragraph says the video shows Vang's hand on victim child one's neck and shoulder.
Okay, then I'll rephrase the question. There's nothing on there about the hand squeezing the neck.
This paragraph is referring to a summary of all the text messages.
Okay, but you said it refreshed your recollection about seeing that in the video, right?
Yes.
So my question is, if it's not in the criminal complaint that you reviewed, where did you get the information that the child was wincing and the hand was squeezing?
I recall that video.
Okay.
Don't leave, Eek.
You testified that you did this investigation into the whereabouts of Katrina Bauer and Jesse Vang on February 16th, right?
Yes.
You reviewed a video from Saucy's Bar and another video from Quick Trip, right?
I didn't review a video from Saucy's Bar. I reviewed a video from Quick Trip.
And you testified that the child was not in the video, right?
I did not see a child in the video at Quick Trip.
And then you said you could not locate anyone who was a babysitter for the child, right?
Correct.
What efforts did you make to locate the
So again, I think you're going to kind of pick up on it and understand, but basically they went to a bar and to a gas station and didn't have any children with them, and nobody had been asked to babysit Elijah. So he was basically at Jesse Vang's apartment by himself, supposedly.
The babysitter.
At the time of the initial investigation, we had conducted neighborhood canvases of all the apartment complex members. We talked to family members. We reached out to people in both individuals' phones of who they would have contact or communication with. We made contact with Katrina's neighbors in Wisconsin Dells, several different people, if and when the last time they would have seen or had any type of contact with victim child one.
So this was just a general canvas looking for witnesses, right?
Well, part of that canvas on multiple occasions is when was the last time that these people would have seen victim child one.
But you didn't specifically ask, did you babysit for the child? Did you?
I didn't ask.
Did anybody ask?
I believe there were some people that did ask. Yes, because we did make contact with victim child one's babysitters in Wisconsin Dells.
Well, you wouldn't expect a babysitter from Wisconsin Dells to come to Two Rivers to watch the child, would you?
I don't think that's likely.
What kind of freaking question was that?
Now, it was your testimony that this Dr. Petska.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more with what Zaya just said on her live. That's a ridiculous question. Like, no, you're not necessarily saying that the babysitter had to come all the way from Wisconsin Dells, but if the child's not with them and the child's not in Wisconsin Dells with the babysitter, then who's watching the child? I mean, logic. It's not hard.
Diagnosed the child with psychological maltreatment, right?
I believe that was a part of her diagnosis.
Has Dr. Petska ever seen the child?
I believe Dr. Petska has not seen the child in person.
So do you know how she could diagnose psychological maltreatment without seeing and talking to the child?
I don't know how she bases her diagnosis on and how she accumulates her opinions.
Those are all the questions I have.
You, Attorney LeBray, any follow-up?
Just a couple. As part of the February 16th, trying to locate anyone that had seen victim child 1, there was also a canvass of the neighboring apartments, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, one of the neighbors babysat at times for another child that was in that apartment.
Yes.
Did any of those canvassing of the neighbors in Two Rivers or other individuals find anyone that was babysitting for that child, victim child 1 on February 16th?
No.
You were asked many questions about whether repeating phrases over and over would endanger physical health, or not seeing a mother or individual like that would cause physical damage. Correct? You were asked those questions?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know if that could cause emotional damage?
Yes, it could.
Yeah, I'm going to object on the grounds that there's no foundation that this witness has the qualifications to tell us whether that could cause emotional damage.
Attorney LeBray.
I can lay some foundation. Special Agent Folan, you indicated that you have been in law enforcement over 24 years, correct?
Correct.
What types of cases have you investigated over your career?
So for 10 years, I was a school resource officer. During that time, I also investigated child abuse and neglect cases. After that, I was a detective at a sheriff's office where one of my assignments was child abuse and neglect cases. And currently my assignment at the Division of Criminal Investigation is internet crimes against children.
As part of your career, do you receive trainings on child abuse and child neglect?
Yes.
As part of those trainings, do you also are you also trained on things that can cause child abuse, as well as what can cause emotional damage to a child?
Correct.
And as part of not only these trainings, but have you also spoken with child victims who have been abused or neglected?
Yes.
And
Hobby Farmer asked, why aren't they using the baby's names? I do believe because child victim 1 is obviously Elijah, but child victim 2 is his older sister with autism, and I think they're trying not to state her name, so they're referring to them as victim 1 and victim 2 because she was involved in the case because she was left in the car that night, and I don't know that Jesse Vang ever disciplined her. Like, as far as the record goes, now allegedly speculating, I would say yeah, because the mother and him were boyfriend girlfriend, and she trusted him enough to take Elijah, like I'd stated earlier. But I think that it's probably because she's mentioned there. Zio also says that it's to not provoke emotion. They have to take emotion out of the cases to try them fairly. So thank you for that. Absolutely right.
A lot of times, I mean, in this case is very, very public, but a lot of times in legal documents, they'll use child victim 1 so that the public exposure, the stigma, and the trauma for the families doesn't get extended out. It's really hard because all of these families and the victims, the family and their victims, they get unwanted attention. For example, some of the other cases that you guys have covered, like those Sebastian Rogers, for example, he's very, very public, and so all of his family is scrutinized one way or the other. Once they go to court and everything, all of that emotion from the internet stuff is taken out of it, and they'll just use that as a way to go through the legal proceedings and to put in the public records. Years later, maybe they won't, if the child is alive and he has to read all of these things or see these things, it's not linked to his name for the rest of his life. That kind of stuff. Emotionless. They have to be emotionless.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Great point, too. Thank you for laying that out for us. That makes it a lot easier to understand. I am not muted. Yes. Sorry.
And have they conveyed to you what caused them emotional damage or physical pain?
Yes.
And when you indicated that the repeated phrases or the not seeing a mother, those types of things could cause emotional damage, what are you basing that on?
I'm basing that on a professional's opinion. Dr. Petska's a professional opinion.
You were also asked.
My child walked in. I know that sounded weird because I didn't pause, but yeah, my child walked in and she was asking me for something, and I was telling her I wasn't muted, and she pointed to what she wanted.
I
Sorry.
thought you were talking to yourself.
Yeah, it sounded like that because I didn't pause in between what I was saying. Sorry if that was confusing.
About the standing and praying or holding a position for a long period of time, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, what we're talking about with the standing and holding a position in this case, at times, according to Mr. Vang, was up to 2 to 3 hours, correct?
Yes.
And based upon your training and experience, could that cause physical pain?
Yes.
I have nothing else at this point. Thank you.
Attorney Jensen, any?
No, thank you.
Can this witness be excused?
Yes, the state will be calling Special Agent Reagan.
So Hobby says, I hear what you say. However, names are used for victims all the time. Wondering if this is a state or county court rule for minors. That way FOIA requests don't have to be redacted, in my opinion. You're right about that, because I can tell you from what I've experienced thank you for doing that. As far as the FOIA request goes, like in the beginning of the Madeline Soto case, even though Stephen Stearns had been arrested, when I first started receiving files, Madeline's name was redacted. But here towards the end, like since the police have finished their narratives and I've gotten the whole Red Rum document or whatever, the 80 pages that we talked about a few lives ago, that basically laid out all of the police's involvement and the police narratives. And some of those, her name was not redacted. So maybe it has to do with how far along the case has come. Like, again, this is really new. So they're trying to, in this preliminary hearing, basically get it to where they can try him for the Red Rum of Elijah. So I could see, because that's what they did with Madeline Soto, they kept her name pretty much redacted until they had finished everything and the charges and all of that. So maybe that's why. Plus, from what I understand, Wisconsin is going to be a state where, like y'all were saying earlier, they don't have the death penalty and things like that. So I would imagine victims' rights and protecting victims is very high up there for them too. So they might not ever be unredacted.
Justin Reagan, JUSTEN RAGEN.
Special Agent Reagan, how are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the Wisconsin Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation. That's commonly referred to as DCI.
And how long have you been with DCI?
Approximately just over 4.5 years.
Prior to being employed by DCI, did you work in law enforcement?
Yes.
And who did you work for?
Previous to DCI, I worked with the Oconto County Sheriff's Office, part-time and full-time. And previous, I had worked with the Langley County Sheriff's Office. I have just over 17.5 years in law enforcement. And
When I have to get Basil's nails, I have to like kind of catch him off guard, and then I'll clip one nail and he'll come and run at me and he'll look at me and then he'll turn back around and lay back down and I'll clip another one and he'll have to come running at me again. It's so funny. Like it takes me like an hour to clip his nails.
And just over 17 full-time.
I'm going to direct your attention to February 20th of 2024. Were you working for DCI on that date?
I was.
And were you activated regarding a missing child in Two Rivers, Wisconsin?
Yes.
And in fact, the missing child that you were activated about is victim child 1 in this case, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to just back up for a moment. What is your specialty with DCI?
I'm a special agent and I'm assigned to the major crimes unit out of the Appleton field office.
Do you also work cold cases?
I do.
As part of being one of the major crimes investigators, were you part of the investigative team into the whereabouts of victim child 1?
Yes.
As part of that team, did you author and review multiple reports, not only from DCI, but also reviewed reports from Two Rivers Police Department and the Sheriff's Office?
I have.
And you've been part of this investigation from February 20th onward, correct?
Yes.
As part of that investigation, was law enforcement attempting to find the whereabouts of victim child 1?
Yes.
And part of that investigation, do you go backwards from February 20th to try and determine the last time that victim child 1 had been seen?
Yes.
And was that done in this case?
Yes.
Other than statements by Mr. Vang and Katrina Bauer, were you able to find any other independent witnesses who had seen victim child 1 after February 16th of 2024?
No.
There was a point in time on February 16th of 2024 when he was seen by some independent witnesses, correct?
Correct.
And from that point in time, the only information that was provided to you was from Jesse Vang or Katrina Bauer, correct?
Correct.
As part of your investigation, did you also, you and other law enforcement officers review cell phone data from Mr. Vang's phone as well as associated phones with him?
Yes.
And did Mr. Vang have more than one phone?
Yes.
Can you explain how many phones were associated with Mr. Vang or his household?
2.
And who were both phones his, or did one?
So, and I'm not trying to be like funny when I say this, but I think there's like a song that's like, I got 2 phones, one for something and one for the other. And then, you know, listening to their text messages and things like that, I think that they were moving rugs.
One for the something and one for the other.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's like, it's a song.
Use your imagination, she says.
Yeah. It's like I got 2 phones, one for the, yeah, and I don't even remember. But anyway, yeah, you have to use your imagination. But from the text message and things, I gathered that they were not only using rugs, but also selling rugs. So yeah, they like their houses to look nice, floors nicely decorated. So one for the plug, yeah.
Both phones were Jesse's, but one was also utilized by his son.
When you review the data from the phone that was used by his son, were there communications on there from Mr. Vang as well?
Yes.
And in interacting with Mr. Vang and Ms. Bauer,
Well, I was about to say I feel real stupid since it was for the son, but I think he was still using it from what they're saying now to also do things on his phone, his son's phone.
They admit that Mr. Vang had utilized his son's phone at times.
Yes.
When you're trying to do that backtrack as far as the investigation, do you also look at the cell phone locations, if cell phones move or don't move and where they go?
Yes.
I'm going to go specifically to February 19th of 2024, okay? Did you and other investigators review cell phone information on whether Mr. Vang's phone or the one utilized by his son moved the evening hours of February 19th, or if they were utilized at all?
Yes.
Was there a period of time that drew your interest?
Yes.
And what was that period of time?
Between 5:59 p.m. and 7:12 p.m. on February 19th.
Why did that draw your interest?
The 2 phones showed to be within the area of the apartment complex that Mr. Vang resided at, and there appeared to be no outgoing activity from the phones.
As far as Mr. Vang's phone, could you tell if there was anything occurring on that phone?
The device showed plugged in on a charger, and also showed that there was a movie playing through Netflix.
Does it show any other manipulation of that phone or movement of that phone?
Not between that time period.
When you reviewed Mr. Vang's phone, was there a lot of activity on that phone typically on a typical day?
I was informed by the agent that reviewed the phone that there's typically a lot of activity going on with the defendant's phone.
But between that 5:59 p.m. time frame and 7:12 on February 19th, there was just plugged in and playing a movie on Netflix, correct?
Correct.
Did you also try and determine if Mr. Vang had any vehicles?
Yes.
And did he have any vehicles that were registered to him?
Yes.
Did you also try to determine if Mr. Vang had utilized any vehicles that weren't his?
Yes.
Were you able to locate any vehicles that he utilized that did not belong to him?
Yes.
And do you know what kind of vehicle he utilized?
A 1997 Nissan Altima. That was beige or tan in color.
Do you know what day he utilized that?
February 19th, 2024.
So I was going to say it sounded like it was his vehicle, but maybe not, because they're saying he just utilized the vehicle.
Did that vehicle belong to an individual who lived in Two Rivers?
Yes.
And did law enforcement speak with that individual?
Yes.
Were they able to provide information on how Mr. Vang had possession of that Nissan Altima?
Yes.
What information did they provide?
Witness one indicated to the agent interviewing them that on February 18th, they had a conversation with the defendant. The defendant had been doing laundry and had asked to borrow witness one's vehicle on the 19th around 5 p.m. and indicated he needed it to provide or deliver money to another individual unknown.
Okay, so that just verified for me that it's not his car. It's going to be somebody else's. I just dropped in chat. I have to walk next door and check on the animals. So I'm going to play this and I won't be able to pause for just a second, but I'll be on my phone.
Did witness one indicate if he provided the keys to Mr. Vang or if someone provided the keys to Mr. Vang?
Yes.
And do you recall when the keys were provided to Mr. Vang?
On February 19th, sometime between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
Was law enforcement able to view this Nissan Altima?
Yes.
And did that vehicle have any type of license plate?
Yes.
As part of your investigation, what do you do with that kind of information when you're trying to see where a vehicle goes and you have a license plate?
We can index that information, and we can also do searches to see if that license plate was ran or indexed by another law enforcement officer, agency, or other type of license plate indexing software.
Can you just explain for the court what you mean by indexing?
Yes.
How does that happen?
So the license plate number would be ran through the e-time system, and then a return would come back and it would indicate the make, model of the vehicle, other descriptors, and also any owners or liens on the vehicle as well.
Was that done in this case?
Yes.
And did any information come about that search?
Indicated that it was registered to witness one.
Did any law enforcement run that plate in a time of interest?
So through a search by a criminal analyst, we were able to determine that on the 19th, that vehicle plate was indexed by a Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office deputy.
Did they give you a time approximately?
Approximately 6:46 p.m.
And are you able, excuse me, were you able to determine where that sheriff's deputy was when that plate was ran?
Yes.
And where was that deputy?
In the location of Forest Avenue, near 24th Street and 22nd.
And what municipality?
The city of Two Rivers.
As a result of that information, did you try and obtain video?
Yes.
Throughout this investigation, were you attempting to locate any video that might be relevant to the investigation?
Yes.
And when you were given this specific time and location, did officers try and find any video cameras in that area?
Yes.
Were you able to find any video cameras in that area?
Yes.
And did any of them have any information of interest?
Yes.
What area had video cameras that were of interest?
The St. Vincent de Paul store located at Monroe and 22nd.
Can't wiggle out of a video.
That's also in Two Rivers, correct?
City of Two Rivers.
Were you able to view that video from St. Vincent de Paul?
Yes.
And what did you observe on that video?
The video shows what was believed to be at the time the Nissan traveling north on Monroe at approximately 6:47 p.m. Towards 22nd, and then continuing north. And then the St. Vincent de Paul video shows the vehicle returning at approximately between 7:05 and 7:06 p.m.
When the vehicle returned, were you able to observe anything of interest?
Yes, so the vehicle returned from the north, so it was traveling south on Forest Ave, and then went east on 22nd, and then turned into the parking lot of St. Vincent de Paul. The vehicle then pulled up along would be the west side of the building of the store. Could see the Nissan Altima, the license plate, and then observed a male individual later identified as the defendant exit the driver's side door. At that point, the defendant then went to the rear driver's side door, opened that up, obtained a black eye.
I think I just heard him say a black eye. So again, trigger warning. Jenny, don't get stuck under the table again. And I wanted to let y'all know I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, Eek. I won't do a whole lot of talking on top of this hearing, but basically this is the case of Elijah View. View. I'm not sure how people say it most of the time, but this is the preliminary hearing. Jesse Vang and his mother are both charged in his murder. And he was missing about the same time that Sebastian Rogers went missing and Madeline Soto's death as well. And Caleb Harris. They all kind of happened all at the same time. And the gentleman there in the orange is Jesse Vang, and he was the caregiver. The mother dropped him off. He was the last person to see him. So basically, they're trying to determine if they have enough evidence to prove that he committed the felony, and they're charging him with the physical abuse, the passing, and hiding the corpse. I said I was being blunt. I'm sorry. You're monetized. Be careful.
Did you observe the defendant on February 20th of 2024?
I did.
And was there anything you noticed about his clothing that day?
I just don't want to cause you issues, you know.
No, it's okay. If anything, it'll just not, I won't be able to monetize this video, but it should be fine. But even if I can't, it's okay. It doesn't bother me to not monetize a video so that we can talk openly, or we can go over things like we did with the Memphis 3. Like it's good. I'm not that concerned about it. You guys, I'd rather us be able to talk openly, you know. Now I do, you know, I can't do it all the time, but you know, occasionally is fine.
That's okay. Eek says that only Trump can fire me, so I guess I'm safe for today.
Clothing was very similar to what he was wearing on February 19th.
What about the hat?
It appeared to be the same.
And just for the record, the person you know as Mr. Vang, is he present in court?
Yes.
Can you describe where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's at the defense table wearing the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office inmate clothing, seated next to his defense counsels.
Let the record reflect identification of the defendant.
Objection, Attorney Jensen.
No.
The record will reflect the identification of Mr. Vang.
Yes, he was the mom's boyfriend.
I'm going to come back to this case in a minute. You indicated you found the video from, or law enforcement found the video from St. Vincent de Paul. Did law enforcement also look in other areas for video that would depict this Nissan Altima?
He was sent so the mother sent him to the house where the boyfriend was staying in order to, as she said it, make him a man. And so there was very strict punishment. I mean, the kid was 3. It's really, really sad. You'll definitely have to read about it. It's absolutely tragic.
As part of the video canvassing, Were you able to locate, or strike that, was law enforcement able to locate any other video that depicted a Nissan Altima similar to this one, besides the St. Vincent de Paul video?
Yes.
I'm going to start west of Two Rivers. Were there any locations west of Two Rivers that had video?
There was an area on Johnston Drive. Johnston.
Do you recall where that area was approximately?
It was a business approximately half a mile, 3/4 of a mile north of 310, Highway 310, on the east side of Johnston.
Do you recall approximately what time that?
Okay, I had to refresh my copy so I can give this my full attention now. I apologize. Thank you, guys.
That the vehicle had passed that business?
Approximately 6:21 p.m.
After 6:21 p.m., was there any video that depicted the Nissan?
Yes.
And where was that?
Another location was located at a power substation that was on Highway 310, on the north side of 310 to the east of Johnston.
Do you know the approximate time for that?
Approximately 6:41 p.m.
And then after that substation, was the vehicle observed?
There was another area observed on Hawthorne Ave, which Highway 310 turns into Hawthorne Ave as it enters into the city of Two Rivers. That was at a private residence. This would have been at approximately 6:44 p.m.
And then there were the observations at St. Vincent de Paul, correct?
Correct.
Was there any other businesses in the city of Two Rivers that you were able to obtain video of this Nissan during that time period between 5:59 p.m. and 7:12 p.m.?
There was a Shell gas station that was located to the south of the apartment complex on the east side of Mishcot Road. But Monroe Ave, Forest Ave, and Mishcot are all the
Allegedly.
same road. The names change throughout the city of Two Rivers.
Yeah,
If
I'm
you-
sorry.
Do you recall if
No, you're fine. If you want to, go ahead and skip about maybe up to about the 49 or 50-minute mark. That's where it gets to the last part of the meat and potatoes of the hearing itself and what happened. That way, if you want to review because you're going on 3 hours, and I know my butt's getting tired.
Yeah.
I don't want everybody to get bored with this. Like I said, I know all of this is going to come out in the hearing, and as much as I like to sit and listen to it, I'm sure everybody else is kind of like, can we move it along?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
thank-
absolutely.
Yeah, because I am going to have to go soon, and I do have that. I found a short video explaining what happened with the babysitter thing, so we'll play that real quick.
Yes. Okay. Awesome.
And then I'll see what I can find on that and what happened with Brian Koberger today, and we'll play those tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That there's some discord between that section and the section concerning informations, the filing of informations. And the way the court resolved it is the court should dismiss any count for which there is no probable cause, but that count may be included in an information if it is transactionally related. So the reason I think that's important is because under no view of this evidence, giving the benefit of any reasonable inference to the state, is there probable cause to believe that Mr. Vang committed count 1, which is causing death by child abuse. The state was unable to present any information as to how the child died, the cause of death. That's why I clarified that the medical examiner calling or characterizing it as a homicide means only that it was not death by natural causes.
It's unfair.
That it may have been at the hands of another human being, but the medical examiner was not able to say what actually was the cause of death. And in the absence of evidence concerning the cause of death, there's no way there's probable cause to believe that Jesse Vang caused the death of that child by neglect or abuse. So there is no probable cause for count 1 under the statute. That has to be dismissed. Concerning the hiding of a corpse, again, even giving the benefit of every reasonable inference to the state, there are
Real quick, I know you said the mom's hearing is December 20th. Did you say that the Jesse has another hearing on November 18th?
Yeah, that's his arraignment. He's going to have his arraignment on the 18th, and then her prelim hearing looks like it's scheduled on December the 20th.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
For sure.
theory is that on February 19th, I believe was what the date was, when they tracked that borrowed car to the St. Vincent de Paul store, and that they found a suitcase, and inside the suitcase was DNA belonging to the child as well as saliva. That, you know, it is not a reasonable inference to believe that the child was in that suitcase and was taken out to that location where where the body was found that day by Jesse Vang. That is a leap of faith. It's not a reasonable inference. There just is no
Reasonableness of belief is just, it's probable cause. It doesn't require proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but a belief on available facts. So eyewitness testimony, physical evidence, suspicious behavior, I believe she proved probable cause.
I don't think they even believe there's probable cause for count one. We can argue in front of the trial judge
I
whether
agree.
this count one of homicide is transactionally related to the hiding of a corpse. But as for today's purposes, I think both counts should be dismissed.
Thank you, Attorney Jensen.
I got it on 1.25. I got it sped up, so that might be why. But I think everybody got a little mad about this case, honestly.
I'm going to give my thoughts on this as soon as it's over. I don't want to talk over and I want to see what the judge decides.
As the parties have indicated, the purpose of a preliminary hearing is for the state to show that any felony was probably committed and that this defendant probably committed it. The state meets that burden, a relatively low burden, by providing proof through testimony. In addition, at this stage, the court views the testimony in the light most favorable to the state. In this case, the court believes the state has provided sufficient testimony to meet that burden, and I will find probable cause that Mr. Vang committed a felony in Manitowoc County, Wisconsin, and I will find him over for further proceedings. Do the parties wish to have a separate arraignment, or are you prepared to proceed today?
I'm asking for an arraignment date, Judge.
All right.
Hell yes, Eek. Hell yes.
Is there any day or time that works better for the parties?
My days are all different.
All right. We'll go off the record for scheduling purposes.
Judge, I'm fine if we do the arraignment by Zoom. I don't know if that would assist counsel with their schedules.
Well, it would help, but it still depends on what the date is.
Oh my goodness.
How does Tuesday, November 12th look? Is that date available, Attorney Jensen?
Well, Mr. Mogren and I have a long motion hearing in Fond du Lac County starting at 9.
All right.
And then I have a plea and sentencing in the afternoon. So the short answer is no.
Okay. How about November 18th at 11?
I can do that.
Judge, are we able to do 11:30? I made a motion hearing starting at 10 in branch 3, and I would hope to be done.
Bella, speaking of demons with suitcases, you should look at I can't play the video because I know I'll get struck, or not struck, but copyright infringement. But I left on my community post a video from our friend here, Sandra Fireblight, that she put out, and it's a short about Sarah wanting some snacks. So if you go to her channel and you can find it in shorts, or you can find it on my community post. But I was like laughing out loud last night. I almost woke my husband up. It was hilarious. So you should check that out.
Mrs. Snack Attack herself.
Yeah.
Be done by then?
Yeah, that's
Would 11:30 work on the 18th, Attorney Jensen?
yes.
All right, let me just check to make sure that we can do it at that time.
Oh, I could talk about the FLDS.
Okay, so I think at least we're done with that. We'll figure out when the arraignment is. So basically, the state rested during the preliminary hearing, asking for a bind over, and the bind over basically is just like the judge requires you to meet certain conditions to avoid immediate punishment or consequences, legal consequences right then. So they have preliminary hearings where the defendant may be bound over to appear in court at a later date. Basically, they said yes, so they binded him over for trial after the preliminary hearing. They find enough evidence, and so they'll take it to trial in a higher court. It allows the court to manage your cases with some flexibility, kind of. In a murder case, a bind over refers to the requirement for the defendant to stand trial for his charges rather than just dismissing them for the lack of evidence. And it happens at a preliminary hearing like this. The judge examines all the evidence presented by the prosecution. He says whether there's sufficient probable.
I'm going to slow this down because it is going really fast. I don't know if y'all can understand everything. She did say that she misspoke and she meant arraignment, not trial yet. She's recapping it for us, so I do appreciate that.
Cause or not, which in this case he did. So they had sufficient evidence to proceed, and they cited the State versus Johnson case for probable cause, and the probable cause of the criminal case means you have enough evidence to reasonably derive that this person needs to go to trial, and they use it to balance the rights of the person to get some charges dismissed if he thinks that they didn't meet the burden, but they did. So this is super exciting. So it's not super exciting for, the fact that the child just passed on, but it is super exciting to hear that they're actually going to take this man to court, get this done.
Right.
The upsetting part to me was hearing about a suitcase. It's just, I don't want to hear about another suitcase.
Right,
For the cerebellum trial. Okay, I may go back over the case in the next couple of days, but for now, I just wanted to make sure that we at least got through the preliminary hearing. Thank you for coming by. Thank you for coming to see me. As
Thank you for
always. If you could just hit the like button on the way out, if you're able to. And one more thing before I go, cannot go without this. Oh gosh.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you
Pause
say
it.
can be used against you in the court of law. You have the
This is interesting.
Yeah, this is my favorite. This will never not be funny. I say it every time.
Okay, we'll watch this real quick.
right to talk to a lawyer and have them present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questionings if you wish. All right. You good, dude?
Never will that not be funny. Let's have a great rest of your day.
That was I gotta mute that because I can get in trouble. So yeah, go check her out. That was interesting. Thank you for doing that and letting us use that.
You are so generous for playing my video. I really appreciate that. Like, you have no idea what that means to me. I'm grateful.
Oh yeah, I appreciate you putting it out. Thank you. Oh, I was about to click on your playlist. Okay. So in my playlist, I think it's the same case that you guys are talking about. I saw it earlier today, a short video on the babysitter thing, what I think is the babysitter thing, and we can watch that real quick. If it's not that one, it's a different one. Oh no, it's a pregnant mom tried to sell her baby to the highest bidder on Facebook was the one I was thinking about.
She did. She sold her baby for METH.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Lord have
POS.
mercy.
Thank you, Abigail's.
What's the name of the babysitter or any of the people in that?
Rhonda Jewell, RHONDA, Rhonda Jewell.
Okay. Oh, it just showed up. There we go. Okay, let's see what we can pull on this real quick.
This will make a grown man cry. I'm telling you that right now. It's that third one down at the bottom to the right there, with the lady with her hand in her hands, her head in her hands. That is the baby's mother. Her name is, I think it's, what was it? Something Page. Oh, that's their last name. Brooke, I think.
Okay.
If you cannot deal with stuff with babies, mute or turn away.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to give a very heavy trigger warning. This is a 10-minute video. It'll probably take us about 12 or 13 to go over it because I will pause Again, this is going to be hard to listen to, probably even for myself, because I don't know a lot about. I only know what y'all told me today about this case. It's from Law and Crime Trial. It looks like. I don't know if it'll pop up. Yeah, Law and Crime Trials. Please give them a like and subscribe. And the video is called "Killed Baby Murdered Murked Baby's Mom Sobs, Shakes as Photos of Young Daughter Are Shown to Jury." So this is, again, going to be real hard to watch. If you need to leave, feel free, and we'll be back tomorrow at about 1:30 Eastern Time. Please hit the like button.
You may change State's Exhibit B and State's Exhibit C. Just look at them yourself. Judge, can you approach? Yes, you may approve.
So they muted it. Do we know if the babysitter did this? I mean, it was an accident, right?
They're charging her with negligence. Yes, with it's not considered premeditated or purposefully done. It was considered an accident.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Page, just for review, State's Exhibit D. You recognize that?
Yes.
What is that photo?
Stacy's house.
Is that the house you mentioned on July 19th?
Yes.
Pick up Mariah?
Yes.
And then Stacy Exhibit C, identification, obviously you recognize that as well.
Yes. I do that.
And what is that? Who's that photo?
Mariah.
You're not going to put these into evidence, if I may?
She said Alaya. That's her baby's name is Alaya.
To the objections raised by the defense.
Okay, thank you for that. Again, while it's paused, the baby's name was Alaya.
Your Honor, of course, permission, I'd like to be able to publish the here.
Those will be State's Exhibits 2 and 3.
Just for the record, Your Honor, this is State's number 2, which is the witness has identified as the house that she drove to. And then if we could also see State's Exhibit or State's number 3. Judge, one last issue. We got both the question Nelson.
So while they're doing that offset thing, Stacy is the friend of a babysitter. She was watching Araya for the mother, and Stacy is a friend of hers. She also takes care of a couple of the kids over there at Stacy's house, and that's where this mother works from home. And she would have Rhonda pick her up around 8:30 and bring her back around 1. So she was able to have her a few of the hours. She worked like 6 to 2:30. So a few of the hours she just sent her off about 5 hours a day so she could get some work done in the middle of the day. And the lady also took care of a couple of other kids. And that's where Stacy's house is. It's just about 15 minutes away from their house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Don't some of the vehicles now, Abelis, have like a little beep 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 that goes off if you have any weight in the back seat once you turn the car off.
That's a
Do y'all
good.
have that where you're at?
That's a good. That's a good detector. I hadn't heard about that yet. That I'm glad they make that now.
Oh, Abella, she said it right as I was saying that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, out there on them dunes, it's probably hot.
There wasn't much more to this particular video right here. You'd have to go back through the court hearing itself for it to explain more. I think it was more just based on how the poor girl reacted to seeing the baby's picture.
Yeah.
She is married. They have a really good home dynamic. It hasn't really been stated how she feels about the babysitter, after what had
Yeah.
happened, if she felt like it was an accident. But her initial reaction after she got the baby out, they took it over to the golf cart. She called 911, hung up, called a family friend, told them to get over there because she was a nurse, and had her walk her through. She said, I didn't know how to do CPR. So she had her walk her through doing CPR on the baby. And she explains doing CPR on this child. And it was just so heartbreaking to
Oh my
hear.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
horrible.
it's going to be a very, very hard case to hear.
Yeah. I'll look into that and we'll talk about it some more tomorrow and the Brian Koberger. I'm going to switch gears here. We're going to do a complete skirt and 360. This, on the other hand, is a horrible mother, allegedly speculating, that tried to sell her baby to the highest bidder so that she could get some uppers. I'll leave it at that. And we'll watch this, and then that'll be it for me today.
Auction off her newborn baby.
Sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say F you, Juniper.
Yeah.
Baby to the highest bidder on Facebook. I have the details about how the expectant mother took advantage of.
Yeah, this is not cool. Not cool at all.
Several prospective parents. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. This sounds unbelievable. A woman trying to sell a baby on Facebook, but police in Houston say it happened and that it was brazen. 21-year-old Juniper Bryson faces a felony charge for the sale or purchase of a child and is currently being held on a $30,000 bond. 3 days before the birth of her son, Bryson reached out to a distant relative for help finding a permanent home for her unborn child. An affidavit says Bryson messaged a woman she called Aunt Jenna, who responded, Juniper. Juniper is quoted as typing, I was looking to see if you know any family who are looking to adopt. Aunt Jenna responded, let me see what I can. Are you sure you want to try to keep him in the family first before trying an open adoption place? Bryson responded, he will be positive. I can't keep him at no point. Aunt Jenna responded, what do you mean positive? Positive for drugs? Juniper Bryson was indeed talking about drugs. She was struggling with addiction. Eager to help, the relative took to her own Facebook page to gauge interest from her friends, posting, she needs someone there during labor and to take the baby home. She doesn't want him going into foster care. Now, if you give birth to a baby and the baby tests positive for drugs, social services will be called and they will place the baby with a relative or somebody else who's close to the birth parent.
I wanted to let you guys know real quick that this is Law and Crime Network, and the video is called Pregnant Mom Tries to Sell Baby to the Highest Bidder on Facebook. Please give them a like and subscribe.
And that person has to care for the baby, or sometimes the baby is placed with a foster family. As potential adopters reached out, Bryson saw an opportunity to demand compensation. This is all according to police. There was another exchange between Bryson and the woman she called Aunt Jenna, and you might see and hear some grammatical errors because this is verbatim from the messages. Bryson said, yeah, it's legitimate, but they're at some point going to have to compensate. I'm not asking anything at all up front. Aunt Jenna responded, what do you mean compensate? Like pay you money for the baby? You want money for your baby? Juniper responded, yes, that they're thinking it's a scam because there is an agreement, half up front and half after, but I'm not asking for anything until I have the baby. It's a different kind of adoption. Aunt Jenna responded, that's illegal. Juniper responded, "What? It's called surrogate. You sound crazy. It's too late for surrogacy. Surrogates aren't drugs. You sound crazy. Again, check yourself." This is what Aunt Jenna responded. Juniper Bryson is quoted as saying, "It's not like that. And she just needed to get enough money to move into an apartment and get her older daughter back and get a car so she could work for DoorDash." The next day, Juniper Bryson posted in a Facebook group entitled "Birth Mothers Looking for Adoptive Parents" that she was seeking an adoptive family for newborn son. Bryson even mentioned how she would be willing to travel. Investigators found that in the following days, Bryson actually corresponded with 7 different couples. One, a same-sex couple from Louisiana that was on their way to Houston when they received a text asking for a $150 wire transfer. The man told Bryson he was serious about adopting the baby and wondered why Bryson was becoming so angry in their conversation. Bryson, in the exchange, said she had given a price and didn't want to go through a child services or adoption lawyer for this adoption. Now get this, a couple from Houston was actually with Juniper Bryson during the birth of the baby. They even paid for her.
This is insane. Like, okay, if you've got a rug problem and they're going to take your baby anyway, like, and you wanted that to happen, why not do it that way? Like, if you are at a place where you can't get yourself help, which I would hope that you would do that first and try to get the child back, but whatever, you want to, whatever, stupid reason, you can't get yourself help, whatever. Why not let the social services adopt the baby out? Because, I mean, this is just...
She wouldn't have made no money off of it.
Yeah. And
she wouldn't have made no money for her habit off of it if she let them take, I mean, she's dumb. They're going to take the baby on birth anyway if it tests positive, regardless of whether she was setting up a legal adoption or not. That's just not how it works.
Right.
Dumbass. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. This is a complete dumbass move. Thank you for that. Because, yeah, this is just...
her Uber to the hospital. Those prospective parents remained at Bryson's side during the 8-hour labor and chose the newborn's name. They didn't know she was trying to sell the baby. They had been contacted through a family member of Juniper Bryson's. According to court records, Bryson did not want to sign any documentation until the hospital confirmed the baby tested positive for drugs. Bryson also experienced withdrawal symptoms after labor. The same day, Bryson asked the nurse to remove Wendy Williams's wristband, that's the woman who was with her at the time the baby was born, and escort her out of the room because she did not have access to the baby anymore. Wendy Williams was confused until she saw Bryson's phone and learned she was waiting for the highest bidder in exchange for her son. Williams and a nurse contacted Child Protective Services and police arrested Bryson. Now, a spokesperson for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services released a statement. It reads in part, "In every case where a child comes into the state's care, family members or friends are considered first for placement. Ultimately, the decision of where a child is placed is up to the court." Currently, the baby is with a friend of Bryson's, but Wendy Williams told a TV station in Houston that she intends to get custody of the baby back soon. Juniper Bryson is accused of doing something that most people can't imagine, trying to sell her baby on Facebook. And
when your little cub is sick, choose Genexa. Effective.
Sorry about that. I'm going to get YouTube Premium later this month.
Other crimes. I logged on to truthfinder.com to find out. I put Juniper Bryson's name into Truthfinder and found past arrests, one for assaulting a family member and another for unauthorized use of a vehicle. Those cases were ultimately dismissed in Texas. I found out that she also lived in California, not just Texas. Truthfinder is really great because it will give you a person's past and current addresses, relatives, social media accounts, and phone numbers. What's also great...
That's a good thing to use for the type of community we have here. Like, if you guys are interested in that, I might look into it myself. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me unmute.
This case is pretty confounding to me. Maybe not all that surprising since Juniper Bryson...
Were you going to say something, honey?
No, I was just listening to you.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
struggles with addiction. But some really bad facts here. We have a lot of messages back and forth where she is accused of talking with prospective parents trying to sell her baby.
Yes, it's a very unusual case, and it seems like a fairly airtight case for the prosecution, given the amount of evidence that's documented on social media.
So if you get this case and you're Juniper Bryson's defense attorney, I mean, what do you do with this? We have so many Facebook messages, text messages back and forth. She is clearly saying she wants $150. She is clearly stringing these people along. She wants payment beforehand. She wants DoorDash orders. She wants all kinds of things. Obviously, she's desperate. But
Yes.
what do you do with this case?
Obviously,
Wow, that's just insane. You're asking for 50 million things, and Lord have mercy. I hope the baby is okay. The baby was small, like Zio just said, and I hope that they can get the baby detoxed safely.
obviously, first you have to ensure that the messages are authenticated properly and they were actually from her to other people. Step one. But the biggest defense in the case, in my opinion, is to go through her background, her addiction, her any kind of PTSD or trauma she suffered in her lifetime that would cause her to become addicted, and try to portray her as someone who was desperate, as you said, but also someone who had some bad cards dealt to her in life, and it led to her being in this situation of desperation, and try to mitigate the punishment in the case.
I mean, there are some really, terrible things in her life that have gone on. I mean, she has a criminal record. She has been accused of assaulting a family member. She had a fugitive of justice warrant out of another state. A lot of these cases, though, that she's been charged with have been dismissed. So I don't know what that says about those prior cases. Maybe she had a good attorney. Maybe they were able to just get her out of these jams. But she has a bunch of prior arrests. So that probably plays against her.
Yes, it's definitely a problem when you have a bunch of prior arrests, but usually those arrests arise in the context of a troubled life. And how did the life come about to be troubled? Usually it's a childhood trauma or some sort of very difficult upbringing. Maybe she's a victim of abuse herself. Obviously, she's living in a twisted reality, thinking she can sell her baby and use drugs while having.
Sorry, love. What'd you say?
I said, I'm traumatized by those eyebrows.
No doubt. That was something right there. And then pupils. Good Lord, I could fry egg on them. I think we all have trauma, and that doesn't necessarily mean that, we all have trauma. We've all dealt with trauma in ways that some people can handle it, some people can't. I've made bad choices in my life dealing with trauma, but I mean, I would have
If
never.
your eyebrows look like that, I will send you money for some therapy.
They don't. I pluck my eyebrows, actually.
This is the last thing I'm going to say. I'm going to jump down, and I really, really, really appreciate you letting me come up on your platform and hang out today. The baby is currently in the custody of CPS after Juniper Bryson's arrest. That woman named Wendy Williams, that she was there during the hospital visit, she got spooked, so she was the one who called CPS, and CPS intervened from there. So the baby's still in CPS care while they're waiting on the legal proceedings to see what happens with the mom. So hopefully she is being fostered with somebody that loves her in the meantime before she finds her forever home with somebody that loves her. So allegedly, thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming up and helping me with all these cases.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Bye, chat.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm going to play this out and just see what they have to say, and then we'll listen to our song, and that'll also be it for me today. I've got to go make dinner. Thank you guys for being here. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up so more people can get aware of the channel and come hang out with us. What I was saying, we've all dealt with things, but I never, the thought of selling my child would have never crossed my mind ever, and never has. I mean, that's just insane. And then you hear she's getting DoorDash and money left and right. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Pregnancy. Those are two horrible decisions that a normal person simply would not make.
You know, what's really sad about this is that we have this couple out of Houston that basically, you know, agreed to adopt the baby. I mean, there were several couples who were involved, but we have the couple, you know, Wendy Williams and her husband, and they took the baby home. I mean, they wanted to adopt the baby, and they're still hoping that they can somehow regain some type of custody of this baby. So do they have any shot of doing this? Because, you know, the standard really is always they want to reunite.
Of course, Abellis, thank you for being here, and enjoy mowing the grass. I appreciate it.
The child with the mother. I mean, you know, with the family. That's what they want to do, is keep the birth child with the family. So do you see in Texas the Williamses having any shot of getting custody of this baby? Right now, the baby is with a family member of Juniper Bryson.
I think the Williams.
I certainly hope they do. If they're the ones that turned it into CPS and were able to get somebody involved before any kind of actual transaction happened, I hope that they would be first up to be able to adopt the baby.
Participating in this illegal action might very well be a big disqualification for them even applying to adopt the child. We have a very structured system in Texas for adoptions, and perhaps they were a couple that was trying to adopt and was having a difficult time and saw this as an opportunity to bypass the system. But we have a system for adoption in Texas, and all states have this system of you know.
Hello, meet your
You know, severe background checks, household checks, and sometimes people have a hard time getting through the hurdles of adopting a child. I would guess that the Williams don't have much of a chance of adopting this child, given that they were willing to engage in felonious behavior to get a child outside of the rule of the law.
Well, it sounds like Wendy Williams is saying she was not familiar with this. And she stated that that Juniper Bryson had not asked her for any compensation. You know, it's very, very interesting to me because she had been reached out to by the aunt. You know, Wendy Williams had been contacted by the aunt, and it sounds like she was trying to foster and adopt the baby. She was licensed to adopt the baby. And it sounds like she was taken by surprise when she's in the hospital and the baby is born. And she was tagged in a Facebook post, and it says, you know, somebody asked her, did you buy her baby? And Reportee Williams stated she did not understand what was going on. And then people started to send her screenshots of the original Facebook post, which she was not previously familiar with. So Reportee Williams stated she immediately gave the screenshots to the nurse and involved CPS. So it sounds like she may not have been aware of all of this. She got contacted by the aunt being asked, hey, do you think you could take care of the baby, because she doesn't want the baby going into foster care. And she wanted to wait, Juniper wanted to wait to see if the baby tested positive for drugs before agreeing to let her take the baby. So it's, she may not have actually known about this.
I'm glad that she wanted to make sure that the baby was not positive for drugs, and that she wanted to make sure the baby got the proper care that it needed before she took the baby. I hope that this person can still get the baby. I really do. I don't think that this woman needs to have the baby back at all, honestly.
This whole trying to sell the baby arrangement. So does how does that bode for her?
Well, it sounds like she at least knew that the baby was probably going to test positive for drugs, and somebody was trying to bypass some sort of a consequence for the mother, and she was participating in that somehow. I think it's going to be difficult for her to adopt this baby.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a really sad case. Just the fact, though, that somebody would say, you know, in this affidavit, it's saying she wanted $150. She's going through her aunt. Her aunt is trying to get people on Facebook who might actually be interested in adopting a baby and actually providing care for this baby. But then Juniper is accused of...
Abellis, you're funny. Abella says the Juniper Federation is suing her.
trying to manipulate these people and get money for the baby. I mean, $150. It's just so sad and ridiculous to me. How do you see this case ending up? I mean, a lot of these cases are such slam dunks. It's like, do you even take it to trial, or do you work out some type of plea agreement?
I think it's pretty unlikely this case would go to trial unless the prosecutors were seeking a severe sentence. I believe this statute calls for up to 10 years in prison. I think that if the prosecutors were to say, for instance, I want a 10-year prison sentence on a plea of guilty, then as a lawyer, you really have no choice but to take the case to trial, either on guilt, innocence, or on the sentencing. In Texas, we have a right to jury trial to determine a sentence, which is where, when I was talking earlier about the packet of information of mitigation that you could present on behalf of Juniper that might give some context to why she was in the situation she was. And I would also advise her to get treatment while the case is being resolved, to try to show the court or the jury, whoever ends up being her sentencing body, that she can deal with her addiction, she can overcome her addiction, and she can function as a normal member of society eventually.
I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I want her to get help for whatever she's got going on, and people can change. But again, I had addiction issues in the past, and I never ever that kind of thing would have never ever even attempted to cross my mind, much less follow through with it. I think she needs to get clean, and I think she needs to have some type of punishment. You know, maybe not the maximum, because there are drugs involved in this case, but definitely some kind of severe punishment, because again, I have been addicted to substances before, and the thought of that would have never crossed my mind, ever, not in a million years.
It's a long road for her. So I think it's a very difficult case. But I do think she likely at least faces a felony conviction and probation, if not some incarceration.
Yeah, most certainly. I mean, and it's not often you hear of something like this. I mean, you hear of people maybe doing desperate things like this, but selling a baby on Facebook, I mean, it's pretty bold and pretty insane. Have you seen anything like this in your career?
I have not seen an attempt to sell a baby on social media. No, I have not. Now, I have had cases where mothers who are losing custody of a child will flee to outside the country and hide with the child. But that's a whole different kind of context. That's a mother trying to actually keep the child and keep the child away from a spouse that she may deem to be harmful or dangerous. But I've never seen anything like this where a mother's trying to get rid of a child for a small amount of money on social media.
Yeah, it's definitely something I haven't seen. Well, thank you so much, Sam Bassett. We'll see how this case unfolds and keep an eye on it. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And that's it for this episode of
So again, that was Law and Crime Network. You know, just sitting here thinking, I mean, the fact that she was trying to get $150, maybe she really wasn't going to follow through with it. I don't know, though, because that woman stated that she was trying to get her to leave the hospital so she could follow through with it. So again, that's just, I don't understand that. And Eek pointed out a great thought here. She is an addict, but selling your child to possible pedos for $150, right? Exactly. That's just insane. You never know people, who they could be, what they could want with the child, any of that. I'll never understand people like that. The ones that red rum their babies, or, you know, place them in horrible situations, selling them, things like that. I could never. I mean, the thought would have never even attempted to cross my mind, honestly, but that's just me. Talking about when I was in an active addiction. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for spending your afternoon with me here. We will be back tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know what time that will be for all of you. You are all in different places. I really appreciate you guys being here. I want to say some prayers for Overprotected and the few other people that had stuff going on. Please keep Trixie in your thoughts too. And the wildfires, and there was a couple of other things. Please just keep in mind everybody out there going through some things. And I will see you all tomorrow. Again, thank you so much. I love you all, my speculating family, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.